Going live. All right, so we should be live right about, waiting for the computer to officially say it. We are live. Hey everybody, it's Lakes05 in this video avatar. It's so funny. It's almost like a business avatar, but it's great to see you guys. Today we're going to be looking at something I think we can build in about 2 hours. So very similar to how we did the popping wall pop demo, where we made the 756 objects that pop against the wall. Today we're going to approach another interesting idea, which is to have infinite falling. I don't know if this is going to be anything like Fall Guys, but in my mind, I'm imagining, you fall from one layer to the next layer to the next layer, and it's unending. And the way I want to do that, I think it'll be a very unique methodology where when they fall below a certain point, we teleport them back to the top. And we do that in such a way that they're constantly falling and it looks like they're constantly falling. So, hey, Mama Bree, if you want to join me in VR and you're watching right now live, just let me know and I will add you as a tester so you can join us. But with that, let's go ahead and dive right in. And let me know if there's any audio issues or anything like that. But just for the sake of doing it, I'm going to quickly add you, Mama Bree, if you would like to join as a tester, or if anybody else does, just ask. And invite as tester. There we go. Okay. So with that out, next step is we want to consider our space. So I want this to feel like infinite falling, and I'm just going to start with the idea first. And because I'm thinking Fall Guys, I'm thinking we go with these hexagons, because I think that's what they use in that game. I've seen a couple videos, and so that's what I'm basing all of this on, is just a couple videos of watching. And so the first thing I'm going to do is go set us up with 0 fog. So I'm dropping that fog down to 0, so that way it doesn't intrude. We also need to get rid of our that thing, the grid. Let's go select open properties and turn off the grid. There we go. Voice settings should definitely be on extended or even global. I think global might be kind of fun. Yeah, global could be fun. And the reason I think global is fun is I've been playing a lot of, oh, you're in bed sick. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you do get better soon. And thanks for tuning in. You're virtually here. Because to me, if you were here, you'd actually be here. Anyway, this is weird. So we're imagining this kind of idea where maybe we have some sort of spawn-in platform on this first floor. I also want to center everything at 0, 0. So I'm going to open up the properties of this and then go Attributes tab and just change the position to be 0 and 0, which didn't seem to do anything. I wonder if that's because I have to open it like this. Attributes, position, 0. There we go. Not super worried about the height. I just want to make sure it's perfectly centered on my world. And this is just has some benefits later on some of the stuff we'll be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and center this here as well. Slide that up. Then I'm going to grab our little spawn-in avatar here, place that there. And then we can see that this platform is a little too small. But the idea is you're going to jump off of this and then be able to keep falling into this space. So before we go too far, I'd love to make this look really cool and futuristic. And so the way I'm going to do that is by pulling this out, turning snapping off, and then just sliding it a hair bigger, and then turning snapping back on, then off again, because that's what I do, is constantly off and on, and then snap this right into the middle. And now we'll see that it's way too big. So I just want to turn snapping off again, slide it, snapping back on, and that's looking pretty decent, but I'm shocked that it doesn't look even on all sides. It's kind of weird that it didn't snap perfectly. I think that's just a snapping bug, so I'm going to select the layer again and then grab it and slide it to the snap point, and there it goes. Okay, so for some reason when I scaled it, it did not actually center at that time. Okay, that's looking pretty good as our default platform. It's a good gray box, but to kind of give you an idea what I'm thinking unlit, potentially a white unlit on this one, and then for our base, we'll go with a solid, and then we'll go manual color slider, get a much cooler looking blue. We'll grab one of these new textures. Why would we do this? It's because it's new, I want to use it, but it looks so ugly. Yep. No, we're not going to do that. Okay, give me something better. Hexagons on hexagons in smaller form. Okay. I can be okay with that. Maybe. So that looks kind of cool. And yeah, I like the way that looks. We will probably play with this design a little bit more later, but what I want to do is make it so that when the player's falling, and let's start by scaling this to be a little bigger. So we're going to just scale this up. And since we know this is already at 0, 0, we can just place it there in the center. Then we'll group that together. With that grouped, we can now move it easily. We'll open the properties panel, go into the attributes tab, double check it's at 0, 0. It's not for some reason, so I don't think the center, that's so weird. It appears the center of this guy is not the center. That was so strange. So like, if you look at when I grab this, when I try to snap it, see this? Look at that. It has like the back foot as the snap point, which is really unique. I've never seen an object that has not centered snapping points. Anyway, we'll undo that so it is centered. Now we spawn in, right dead center, I think. I'm like not even sure anymore. So anyway, that's cool. And so what I want to do is then take this, we'll maybe skinny it up just a hair, and then duplicate this down to an equal layer. Okay, so now when we imagine falling off, we fall off and it looks like we're falling onto this. In fact, we are. But what I want to do is around halfway, teleport us to the point that would be the exact same. So because these are identical layers, it'll look like we've actually just moved to the space that would be where it's at. And I'll show you what I'm thinking in a moment, but I got so many thoughts. So I'm just like, I'm kind of excited about this idea. And so what I want to do is go have players enter this trigger, then get teleported upwards. To do player motion that has no fading, like when you use respawn player, it fades to black. We need to go to the player settings and then turn custom player movement on. Now this is going to allow us to move players without them noticing, which is key to what we're doing. And so then we'll go back to our gizmos tab and grab a script. Okay, so we got our script here, opening the properties panel. And the trick here is to know the distance that they're going to be. And so what I think we'll do is measure this from, grabbing the snap point here and then placing this here. So we're going to measure this, which I know this looks like a weird form of measurement, but doing it in such a way that allows us to very easily, why can't I find, there we go. Okay, so we got the bottom of that, and that is perfectly snapped. Yes, it is. Okay. So having this measured, quote, quote, measured, allows us to then duplicate a copy of this that's at the halfway point. So there we go. So now that is half the distance of that. And then what we can do with this is then scale it outward so it fills the entire area. So we'll go attributes, and then we'll go to scale and change this to be like 20 by 20, which should make it wide enough to catch players as they're falling in. Problem is they might be able to fall outward, so I'd actually go and make this even bigger, probably going to 80 by 80. Now these attributes are not part of our measuring. We're only going to measure via the Y value. And so what we're going to say is when player enters this trigger, move the player up by 2 times the amount of our Y height. And it's honestly not even that crazy hard. So we're just going to call this TP up. And a lot of times what we do here is we build like really basic scripts that are that do get the job done. And in PopPop, I spent 5 hours the other night refactoring just so I could add a panel to like make selections. And so while this is super easy to do, like getting started, sometimes later on down the line, we'll have realized the full game and how the game mechanics work. And it's wise to go back and start over where you can just better link things in. So just for functional purpose and proving that it does work, that's what I'm trying to do right now. And so we're going to go when trigger is entered by player. I'm also going to take my socks off because socks make you really hot. You like breathe through your feet. Anyway, so that feels better. Okay, so when trigger is entered by player, we want to go to the motion tab, scroll down to player motion, where you can see move player to position or move player by offset. We want to use move player by offset. We could calculate the position that we're moving them to, but we just want to move them up by a certain amount. So this is super duper easy. Drag the player pill into here. The up by amount is not using this vector. We want to go to like technically we could. So let me show you both ways really quickly, and then I'll show you why the way that we're going to do it makes sense. So the first way that I was thinking was we go down to vector math and grab new vector from XYZ, drop it in here. Then we need a 0 number and a 0 number in the X and Z slot. So you go values tab, number input, 0, 0, and then the Y is the multiplication of 2 times the Y of our scale of the trigger. So then we go down to, so we got the multiplier in. We're gonna need to put the number input here and then type in 2 since we're multiplying it by 2. And then that Y scale we can get by going down to vector math, where you'll see Y of vector, drag that into the A slot, and then scrolling up, you'll have object transform, which gives you the scale of object. You can place that in here. So this is going to get the Y of the vector, which represents the scale of self. So we'll go to the values tab where we can grab the self pill, dropping that in here. And now we will be able to teleport the players up by 2 times the height of this trigger. And so the scale of this trigger really doesn't matter. It's only here just to make sure that we are getting players moving up. And I am concerned that a player might glitch through this trigger if there's enough action happening in the game. But for now, like I said, we're just kind of demoing, testing that this works. And so next up, TP up. When triggers into right player, move player by offset, that's the amount up. Now, the reason I say this is not the right way to do it is because imagine you have 24 players playing this game. That would be amazing. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pull that off, but let's go for it, right? And so if you have 24 players playing this game, the problem you're going to face is that when you have 24 people hit this trigger at the exact same time, that's a lot of math to calculate all at the same time when we could calculate it one time rather than every single time a player enters. To calculate it one time, we go new variable, make sure it is a vector, which just means X, Y, Z. We can then go ahead and name this vector up by, which is how much we need to move up by. We'll go ahead and click confirm. You'll see this in here. Now we could manually type this in. So if we knew exactly how much we wanted to move the player up by, we could just type it in here. Like I could open up the trigger, I could go to the attributes tab, I could do this math on Google of 27.67 times 2, but because we've got scripting, I love to do this math using scripting, so we'll just go to the events tab and say when world is started, let's do some math, and then we go to our values tab where we can set the variable, and then we'll drag the set2 in. What are we setting? It's the variable we made up by. And what are we setting it to? Well, this amount we just calculated, right? So we can just drag this up in here. We've now calculated one time on world start, and we can use it for every single time a player enters the trigger. So we can then just thumbstick to the right to duplicate. That's highlighting it, and then thumbsticking to the right. It's kind of hard to see, but hopefully that helps. Okay, so now that we've got this set up, the entire script is done. Let me hold on this for a second in case you need a screenshot, but that's it. That is the script, and now we're going to go and test it by opening up this trigger. I'm pressing forward and holding, which brings the trigger properties panel to me, and now I can drop down, select the TP up script, and try jumping off. And theoretically, what this should do is it should make me feel like I'm falling forever. That's the goal. So here we go. So here I am falling. Oh, shoot. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, this is insane. This is insane. Oh, I don't want to stop. It's so cool. Okay, I gotta stop. Whoa. Did you guys see that? That was insane. Oh, my gosh. That worked way better than I thought. That worked so much better than I thought. The only problem was that you couldn't see the next layer down. So what we need to do is duplicate, slide this layer down to here. And then once we get it into the right position, so let's see if I can get that snapped into the exact same position, I can then array tool to make a copy at the exact same distance, and then duplicate and or just drag and delete out the previous copy. So now when we fall, it should look like we're falling more infinitely. So, okay, you can still see it teleporting in. So it might be useful to... Oh, this is amazing. So how far out can I go? Oh, this is just so crazy. There is something about this. Like, I'm surprised Horizon doesn't have some built-in feature to prevent this from going forever. Because we're just getting faster, because the speed of gravity is like, well, it's going to hit a maximum. This must be the maximum that gravity hits. Okay. And we're here. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Oh. Welcome, Pat Dooley, to the chat. Great to have you, Utterly Otter. Yeah, working on some crazy stuff right here, as you can tell. And I am just still a little astounded at how cool that is. I want to see if we can't make this even better by retooling a couple more copies of this out, deleting. And so you might imagine that now when we fall, this starts to feel like it's infinite, but there's one at the very bottom that's spawning in, but it's not nearly as noticeable. So like when you're watching this, you're like, oh my goodness, and got it, right? So the idea is that you're falling forever and ever and ever, but you just like are trying to land on the next platform, because what is the goal of the game, right? And so what I wanted to quickly show, which we've already done, Simon says Alex has reached terminal velocity. Yes, that's what the word I was looking for. Thank you, Simon. Terminal velocity. Yeah, if anybody wants to hop in here as a tester, I'd be happy to add you as a tester so you can come check this out in VR. But the basic concept of the first, 15 minutes in, we've already finished. What the first concept I want to show is that we could easily make any sort of game mechanic that revolves around this idea, right? Like, this is the script. That's it. We're done. And so now it's just like build your game around this idea that you're falling forever and whatever you want to do in this space. And so I think we are fairly familiar with the Fall Guys mechanic. And so what I want to do is going to be amazing. So let's see. I'm going to dance a little bit. Oh, man. I'm like scared to even say this out loud, but like, let me drink a little water. You know that guy who's always like, aliens? This is what I feel like. Asset spawning. In that previous live stream, we brought in 756 interactive objects at zero animation cost, like zero. We were able to have legitimately 24 players in that world. Mind blown, mind absolutely blown, over and over and over again. So let's put an even harder limit on this world. Like, let's just go to the absolute max. Stretch our player settings up to 32. And what can we get out of a 32 player game? Like, imagine 32 people fighting for this platform game. Mind blown. I'm pretty confident we can pull this off. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the width of this area. So this is currently, I believe we said 80 meters by 80 meters. It's not bad. It's not a bad space at all. Excuse me. This is kind of like the spawn zone, sort of home zone, but I don't think that's what we want this to be. I think we want this to be the gameplay area. So I'm very quickly going to duplicate a copy of this out and make kind of a viewing area, which we're going to set right here. And then we're going to bring it up to the same height as this. And then I'm actually going to retool a copy, which will bring it up to what I believe is where players will spawn in at. So theoretically from this platform, this is the one big problem. We can animate this though. So when you're falling, if you look at that platform, it's going to be very obvious that you're like falling. Theoretically though, they're not looking at that, right? Like they're looking here, they're not looking there. Although that is quite fun to watch. And so maybe it's not a big deal, but there is a code block that allows us to make this only visible to people who are in this sort of viewing area. And so what I want to do is bring in some really basic stuff. So once again, I'm really trying to make this as like simple as possible so that anybody, like literally anybody could build this. Also, hello, Infinite Rocket Power. Thanks for joining. And also, thank you all so much for joining. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, I'd really appreciate it. Definitely helps. And, we're covering some really cool concepts here. So if you have any questions as you're watching this, like, how did we already make this infinite falling loop? Like, if you haven't seen this, just like watch and see how amazing this gets. We like literally hit terminal velocity and it's just absurd. So the idea is you can build any game around this mechanic. And so like whatever game you want to build that has infinite falling, you can pull it off by simply teleporting the player up to here and they keep falling. So then the viewing platform is here where you can then watch people falling. And even as I'm thinking about it, it almost makes sense to make this viewing platform invisible so they can easily see down. So we might have to do that in a second. But to show you the script, I'm going to go ahead and blow this up and put it right here. We'll need to make a script area at some point, but for now, this is A-okay. I'm actually becoming more accustomed to putting my script with the thing that does the thing, so it's easier to find the script, but I'm not sure. So anyway, to show you the script real quick, it's simply saying when trigger is entered by player, move player by offset of this amount, and then we set the offset to be twice the height of this trigger. So we've just scaled the trigger to be half of the distance between this and there. So it moves them up by double that. And yeah, pretty sweet little script. And so it feels like infinite. Okay. Now, what I wanted to do next, like I said, I'm trying to keep this as simple and basic, like so anybody can tackle this, even if it's like their first build. I know like this is probably not a good first script, but actually this is a perfect script. The first thing I'm going to show you is that go to your asset library and search for respawn. And I love how many people have been using this teleport and respawn script. Every time I see this teleporter around, it just like makes my heart little glisten. I happen to be the guy who wrote the script in here, and you'll notice that I've designed it to try and be as like novice friendly as possible. Also, thank you all so much for dropping likes. Really appreciate you guys. And so like I wrote in explanations on how to use the reference. So I encourage you to check this out, especially if this is your first time scripting. We're actually going to delete this and write this script from scratch because I think it's a great one to kind of like teach scripting on. And it's only take us like 2 minutes. So anyway, this is in here if you guys want to pull that out. But the first foremost thing that you need to know is you need a trigger and a spawn point. And there's some fancy graphics here. We're actually just going to delete all of that and head into our build section where we can pull out the gizmo, the trigger, and this script. Now, because the player, and a spawn point, excuse me. There we go. There's the 3 things we need. But because the trigger is invisible when you're in play mode, we want to make a reference for it. So I encourage you to go to the asset library, go down to shapes. And if we'd had this shape when I built that spawn point, we would have used this instead of the one that's currently being used there. And that's the torus C. I like torus C because it's the skinniest torus we have, and it's equivalent in geometric complexity as a cube. And so if you haven't seen the new complexity chart, you can visit it in person in Horizon by searching geometric complexity. I happen to have a copy in my asset library, although you can take a picture of it and save it. GeoReference 2.0, here it is. At some point, I'll find a way to get this out to you all. Maybe I should just go ask Meta if I can update the old asset. I'm just afraid that they'll say no. So anyway, what I want to show you is this green section. All of these green ones are like the best value, and you get the most bang for your buck. So you get all of the toruses in here. You got some other really cool shapes. You got Platonic 02. We can talk about Platonic 01. All the regular shapes are in gray, so you can see those. And basically, using these toruses that are rounded, they have some math properties that make them super duper efficient. You don't want to necessarily keep them collidable, and then Platonic 01 is the best. Anyway, we'll delete that for now, but that's why we're using torus C, and torus C's got this great shape. The first thing I like to do when I pull it out though is turn off collidable, turn off light and shadow, and then because I want this to look like a teleport ring, I go down to my style tab and I grab a glowing unlit white, and that is pretty decent, although my texture is quite quite silly. Let's see. Scroll, there we go. Speckled noise or simple noise, there we go. So that will be our teleport ring, and we can place that in here, imagine being player sized, and then place that right about there. So this tells players where they can teleport. Oh, if you ever have that happen, it's because your spawn point has spawn on start turned on. We need to turn that off so that only this one is spawn on start. And now when we spawn in, so there you go. So we're going to teleport into the game via this spawn point. It's going to teleport us down to that platform. And then we're going to build the game mechanic after doing that. So we'll actually take this guy here and drop him here and face away. Because basically I want people to feel like they're oriented in the world. And so my thought is, in fact, let's actually take them up to here. So the thought is that when the player enters this trigger, it teleports them straight out. Now they're falling down. There's one massive problem with this mechanic that I just want to like vocalize as we're working on this script, which is that looking down is really hard on your neck. I actually should probably put a battery on, which actually makes it even worse because you have even more weight that's kind of pushing down on your neck. And so I'm constantly doing this, like literally, even when I'm not in VR, I'm doing this sort of like neck exercises because it's like I'm in so much pain because I'll be in VR for too much and I'm looking down. It's one of these like concepts I got to figure out how to fix. So maybe we'll try and fix that today. In the meantime, though, it is what it is. So it's a popular game mechanic. People aren't going to make this at some point. Let's go and drag our trigger to right here. So this is where the player will step on this green trigger and then get teleported forward. So now with our trigger in place, we have our script to write. And the script's fairly simple. Opening the properties panel, we're going to go in here. We do not need when world is started, so we click it with our index trigger, pull down to delete. We can rename this and call this enter game. So the goal here is that you're entering the game. So that's what we're going to call the name of the script. And then when we go into our events side here, scroll down to player events, you'll see when trigger is entered by player, drag that to the left, and then we'll go to our variables tab. But why do we use when trigger is entered by player? Because we're trying to know when the player has walked into this trigger, which we call an enter event. So when the trigger is entered by the player, we know who the player is because we receive this green player ID pill. And then over here, we need to know where the spawn point is. So to reference that spawn point, we go to new variable, drop down and select object, because anything that we're referencing outside of our self, this object the script is running on, because it's going to run on this trigger, is an external object that we have to reference. Hence, we need to type in respawn point. You can also write this shorter. It doesn't have to be fully written out like this, but there we have it. And we'll go ahead and click confirm. Now with that typed in, we can go to the motion tab and then scroll down to respawn player, drag this over to the left, and then go over to our variables tab. We're going to need this respawn point. First thing we're going to do though is see that respawn player to self. Self is the trigger. You can't respawn a player onto an object that is not a respawn point. So we're going to go ahead and select this and delete. And then drag player into the player pill slot. You'll see that this says it has to be a spawn point. This is important. So you might wonder, why does it include a self pill? It's because you could write this script very differently. So last thing we have to do is drag this respawn point into this object pill slot. And when I say you could write this script very differently, let me just quickly show you by duplicating this script, opening this up, and saying when trigger is entered by player, respawn player to self. How would you write a script that actually did this? Well, this script would then be attached to the respawn point over there, which we'll show you how we could have done, which we'll show you in just a moment with the trigger. And so then how do we get the trigger enter event? Well, it's quite simple. We have when world is started. You'll remember that was there by default earlier. And what we would do is scroll down to the bottom and either connect to event or listen to events. Listen to events gives us all the events from an object. And in this case, this would be not listed as respawn point. It would be, say, like trigger. And so then you would grab this pill, dropping it in here. And now you would receive the trigger enter event from the object you're listening to, which is the trigger gizmo, and then you'd say when triggers entered by player, respawn player to self. That is the instance in which you'd write a script like that. It's obviously longer, which is probably why none of us write the script that way, and we instead write it this way and prefer to attach the script, which is done by opening the properties panel of the trigger by pressing forward on our thumbstick. That's forward on the thumbstick when your hand is inside of the trigger. You'll see that 3-dot icon there. And then back here on the bottom right, we can drop down and select the enter game script that we wrote here. Okay, now you'll see it needs a respawn point reference. So there's an empty pill slot. So to fill this pill in, we're going to run on over to this spawn point over here. And then I can thumbstick to the left and right to increase the size of this panel. We'll then open this up, grab the spawn point from here, drop it into the empty pill slot. We've now created a reference. You can see this cable tying them together. That reference is this. You can also go the opposite direction, so you can go either way. And like that, we have now tied those two objects together. Okay, ta-da! Let's go ahead and try it out. Dun, dun, dun. And here we are, we're spawning in. And so ideally, the game should be something like, over the course of 60 seconds, fall and pop as many things as possible, right? Like that seems to make sense. So ideally, you want to try and stop as often and frequently as possible. My original idea was like, what if you could shoot at things as you were falling? So you're like shooting on things was kind of an idea. I'm not sure about it. But like I said, there's so many opportunities for a game with infinite falling. And the thing that I like about a respawn point, you'll remember that when we fall through this trigger, it's perfectly seamless. We could have made it so that the player got propelled forward and into the game. In fact, let me show you how to write that script in case that's what you want to do. So instead of saying respawn player to spawn point, we're going to turn this off. By using an if statement and going to the values tab, we can grab a Boolean value. And Boolean is a fancy way to say true or false. So you can see true and false. And so if false means don't do anything because it's false. It has to be true. And so to really better describe this, if statements require a Boolean value, and a Boolean value can either be true or false. You can think of that like on or off. And so if it's on, meaning it's true, we then do the things. But if it's off or false, we don't do anything. So I've now turned this code off, so we are not using it. But say, for instance, when the player enters this, we want to propel them forward. We can actually do that with player motion. So we go to the motion tab, and then we can grab move player by offset. I'm going to try this. So we're going to put this at the top for now. And then we're going to grab add player physical velocity. You could also use set player physical velocity, but I like add player physical velocity for a reason that you'll see as we are getting into this. The first reason we want to move player by offset is because when a player's feet are on the ground, they are on the ground. And this is going to sound really crazy, but in Horizon, players have friction. So when your feet or your ring, I guess we don't have feet yet, but when your ring is touching the ground, you have friction. So you can't actually push a player that's on the ground, at least not easily. Like there is some ways to do it, but it's not easy. And so instead, what you need to do is move the player forward by 1 meter in the forward direction. In fact, let's see what 1 meter is. So this would be 1 meter right about there, which gets them off the platform. We could actually go with 2 meters. I think 2 meters is probably the right distance to do this. So we're going to move them 2 meters forward and then propel them forward. And so what we want to do is orient the forward direction of the trigger with the forward direction we want to throw them. And when you pull out a trigger, or a cube or any object for that matter, when you pull it out, you'll notice that the forward direction is the direction that faces you, and that's Z plus. So you'll see that says Z plus on it. And so this Z plus is the direction we need the trigger to face forward. So if we look at this trigger, you can see it says Z minus, but if we rotate it 180 degrees with our snapping on, and there we go, you can see Z plus is now facing forward. We can use that value to know which direction to throw the player. Now I'm going to quickly fill this out by dragging the player pill into both of these slots here. We want to move the player forward by 2 meters. To get 2 meters in the forward direction of the trigger is actually relatively easy. Go ahead and delete this vector input. And we need to get a vector value of 2 meters in length. By grabbing the multiply symbol, we can multiply by a number, which would be 2. And then we can go and place the 2 here. So that is 2 meters. And then we'll go to our operators tab. Scrolling down to object, you'll find forward direction of object. Forward direction of object is already 1 meter in length. And so if that doesn't make a lot of sense, don't worry. I totally understand how you feel. So the way this works is consider that this is the center of the object right here, right? So what is 1 meter in the forward direction? Well, it would be, let's see if I can calculate this. So from here, we stretch, that should be 1 meter right there. Okay. So what a vector with the forward direction is it's basically saying from here to here, right? So it's like that. That is the vector. And I'm not doing a great job of explaining it, but basically it's a line in the forward direction with a length of 1 meter. And we call that a normalized vector because it's normalized down to 1. And that allows us to multiply it by whatever we want it to be. Not all vectors come as normalized, but this one does. And so with that, hopefully that makes sense. But you can imagine if we rotated it this way, it would be pointing in a different direction. And yeah, okay. I'm also going to do just a quick little favor, and I hope this helps because I want to try and like show you maybe a trick that I use that is quite helpful. So when you're trying to understand something that you don't understand, if you go and debug print the value, so debug print forward direction of self when triggers entered by player, I want to do this on world start. So let's actually go when world is started, drag this debug print up. Then when we go to our scripting tab, we can see that the value has printed. And so this doesn't look like 1 meter in length, but 0.5 by 0.85 with 0 on the Y means that there's no upward motion. So it's just straight forward. It means that there is 0.5 along the X direction and there's 0.85 along the Z direction. And so if we were to go to 0, 0, 0, and we were to type in those values, let's go and grab maybe this circle here as kind of a reference. I'm going to shrink it down just so you can kind of visualize this. And we're going to go and stretch it out like that, place this here. And we remember that we center this at 0, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and take a duplicate copy of this, open it up, and then Attributes tab, type in 0.51. I'm not going to be exact. So 0.52 by 0.86. 0.52 by 0.86. And what you'll see is that is pointing 1 meter in that direction. And we can even measure that. And the easiest way to measure is to grab a cube and then grab that and snap it to the center of this and then slide that to the center of this. Well, that's not helpful, is it? So we'll go here and then snap that to there. And now you can snap that to there. There we go. If we open up the properties panel of this, you'll see under the attributes tab that this is in scale. Let go of it. There we go. 1 meter exactly on this value of it. And so I've just measured it. It's exactly 1 meter. So you can see that that is what one vector in the forward direction looks like. So hopefully that helps. I know it's not the best explanation in the world, but that is how I try to learn new things, is just by debug printing the values and trying to contemplate them in sort of new ways. Anyway, so hopefully that helps. So first thing here is we're moving the player by 2 meters in the forward direction. Then we need to add physical velocity in the same direction, mind you. And so I'm actually going to click undo real quick. When world is started, we can save the forward direction as, we'll call it forward. So we'll create a new vector variable called forward. Since we're going to be using this over and over and over again, it's nice to save this value on world start, just like we did before. So then we'll go values tab, scroll up, set the forward to be this forward direction of self. Now, anytime we need to use it, we just drag this green forward direction pill and place it there. So now that we've got that, we can do the exact same thing for which direction we want to add physical velocity to. So we'll go ahead and take this multiply symbol. So know that I'm grabbing from the multiply, and you can see how it's highlighted versus the 2 is highlighted versus the 4 is highlighted. With that multiply symbol highlighted, we can then thumbstick to the right to duplicate it. And now we just need to type in how much force we want to give them. So let's go try typing in 20. That's probably too much force in the forward direction, but we'll see what happens. So going into the script tab, stop, clear, and play. Just a little habit that I've gotten into, and I encourage you to try. So now when I walk into this, theoretically, I should get thrown forward. And whoa, that was amazing. And the power was a little too much, but boy, oh boy, was that amazing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and turn down the power from 20 down to 10. But woo, that was a whoosh. Okay, that is way better than the respawning player. So we're going to delete this if statement. No way are we using that when we can do this really cool script. I'm going to go ahead and delete the respawn point and actually remove it from up here. As much as that was a cool idea, this just feels like intense. You're like, whoa! And you just barely make it too. Oh, that's amazing. And so the other thing that I wanted to show you, and the reason we are using a add player physical velocity rather than a set player physical velocity, is say I was running at a diagonal direction. So I went, I can now run outwards in that direction and keep my momentum in that direction. So it's important to use adding momentum rather than setting momentum. Setting momentum can be useful, but it does override any other motion that they have. So that's why we're always using, like in bubble wrap, we use add momentum upwards so that if they're moving to the left, they don't just get thrown straight up and they're no longer using their momentum forward, which would really throw off the experience. So, okay. There we have it. I'm going to go ahead and drag this down here and slide this upwards. And now we've created a really unique way to enter this game. And we're 37 minutes in. Not too bad. Not too bad. I am trying to keep it to 2 hours and then call it a night. So that's why I'm watching the clock, in case anybody was curious. Trying to rein these live streams in from being 6 hours of absolute just absurdity. It's a lot of fun, but they're not as useful as this has a very specific topic we're going to explore. And, so I just wanted to repeat again for anybody who was interested. If you are watching live and want to join us in VR, just go ahead and comment your Oculus username and ask, and I will add you as a tester so you can try this out. Otherwise, I probably will publish this. So do look forward to that. So the next thing we need to do is prevent players from leaving this spawn platform. And I'm thinking about making this spawn platform invisible. Oh, the air quotes are not helping. Okay, so what we're going to do is start with the invisible platform because we want to be able to see, right? The entire idea of this platform is that you should be able to see the action that's happening. So what we're going to do is imagine the width of this. And we can do that by snapping to this corner here. And once we've snapped to that corner there, we can then scale to here. And then let's actually just scale this up to there. And now we've actually already got, wow, that was so easy. And so you might think, oh no, I can't snap to this corner. But actually you can by going to this corner way over here. And there we go. So now it is at that length. And we can take that and duplicate to here. The problem is, yeah, that is the problem. So we're going to stretch this out to here. Is it letting me get there? Is it there? Nope. Why can't I select this? There it is. Okay, there we go. So what I want to do is basically make sure that this is all lining up correctly. And so when we select this and drag it, I want to get this to this corner. And the problem is I scaled it to this blue one, which looks nice when we were working on it, but it actually needs to go to the white one here. And we actually need to go to the white one over here as well. So selecting it and then dragging to here, perfect. And then we can delete this and then grab the duplicate tool, not from this corner. We grab it from this corner here. I'm going to actually first start by locking this. So grabbing duplicate tool with snapping turned on, I grab from this top right corner here, rotate around, and then once it's aligned with this, I can then thumbstick to the left, which will array tool a copy with the equal rotation, distance, and everything. And I can do that until I've made a full complete circle. And like that, we can now delete this. And we now have what looks like it could be a floating platform, but is currently non-collidable, except for these edges. So if you walk through that, you're just, out of luck. So we're gonna need to put in some collidable surfaces. And to make this more aesthetically pleasing, perhaps, I'm not sure if that's actually going to be the case, but we're going to try something out and see if it works. So the first thing I'm going to do is maybe put in a collider for the floor. And so to do that, we're going to duplicate this to here, open up the properties panel of this duplicated copy, turn off light and shadow, turn off visibility, leave collidable on. And actually, I'm going to lock this for just a moment. And then I want to select these so that I can make this a grouping. This will be like a grouped shape. So we'll go ahead and group that. In fact, I love this shape so much, I'm going to duplicate a copy and bring it off over here in case there's something we could potentially use that for. And now with this as a group, I can actually lock it. We'll then go in and unlock this small piece, select the small piece. With that highlighted, we can then easily duplicate over and snap to there. And if we don't intend to have players leaving this platform, we can just duplicate it across the entire thing. It does get this little Z-rippy stuff, which I don't like. So we're going to just bring that down to about the halfway mark and then keep snapping it so it fills the entire outside outline. So I did snap it to the inside, but we're going to snap it to the outside. And then what I really wanted to do that I forgot is I wanted to open up the properties panel of this guy and turn off collidability. And we'll even turn off light and shadow, although I don't think it actually matters. Okay, because it's unlit. It's an unlit white, not a glow white. Okay, so now we have a collidable surface. We have the ability to walk on this. So this allows us to really clearly see any action that's happened. We can party in the back and be like, oh, this is crazy. Again, we're getting that neck issue. So I really want to fix that problem early on. And so I'm also noticing that this isn't really the orientation I was looking for, because I think it makes more sense to keep it all aligned. So I just rotated it and it still fits perfect. So that is nice. Now, the next thing we want to do, and you might be wondering, why didn't I grab this guy and use this to make the collider inside? It's because this is one of the worst shapes, geometrically speaking, and it takes up a lot of capacity. And since I know I'm going to put up invisible walls around the outside of this anyway, there isn't really a need to make this anything other than a cube. And cubes also are the best colliders. They're the most efficient on the physics engine. And if we are going to make this a 32 player, which we are, we definitely want to be efficient on the physics engine. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And I'm going to just go ahead and leave that there with that conversation. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is select this guy. I also want to just admit and recognize and bring attention to the fact that from underneath it's very flickery. So I'm actually going to turn snapping off and just slide it just a hair thicker or less thick. I'm not actually sure. Yeah, we'll leave it thicker, which will make it easier to select. So then we're going to duplicate up a copy of this. And then, like I was saying, I really want to put this along the outside edge. So we're going to snap to this edge here, and then we're going to snap to the inside edge here. And I suppose that if this game is like free for all, always open, it doesn't necessarily make sense to have to block this direction off. So we'll leave that open. And then what we're going to do is grab this guy here. And just like we did with the out or the white side of the ring, we can also do that for this one, just arraying around. And since we want this front to be open, we can just delete this. Although we do need a top, so we'll go ahead and select the bottom again and then duplicate from the green slide arrow up to the top. And now we've put a roof on it. Although the roof isn't necessary, it's just nice, just in case. And with all of that selected, I'd like to maybe make it a singular object. And it is worth noting that if you are doing any editing inside of a grouped object like this, it can have some finicky issues. So I don't like to group objects like this, but it also means that I can just lock it one time and be done with it. And now I'm not going to accidentally mess with it. So I do like it from that perspective. Although I'm noticing some flickering all over the space. It's not actually flickering when you're in publish mode. It's only in build mode. And I'm also thinking these could be thinner, these sort of like large side cubes, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so with all of this stuff in my head, what I wanted to remember before I forget was that I wasn't a huge fan of the location of this. So I was wondering, what if we select everything? So with everything selected, we can then slide this down and snap it to be at the same height as this guy right here. There it is. Okay, so with that snapped to there, the idea is that now when you're watching, you can really see the gameplay. Like this is the main area that the game is going to take place. That down there is really just for aesthetics, which totally looks cool from here in the back of this. You're like, oh, that's so cool. But there's not going to really be any people there. The people are just going to be falling through this space right here. So aesthetically, I think this is totally fine. This is now really hard to see. And it also doesn't make a lot of sense because it is propelling you forward. So what I wanted to do was take this, rotate it at an angle like that, slide it upwards like that and backwards. And then what I wanted to show you was, let's actually duplicate slide this back like that. So the idea is that we're going to build what looks like a propulsion. So it's like propelling you forward. In fact, I'm actually going to rotate it backwards more like that. And then what I wanted to do was grab the duplicate tool here and then duplicate, turn snapping off slightly, just very slightly shrink it, turn snapping back on, come back up to here, and then we've snapped it right to that same point, and then array tool a couple copies. And I realize I've done this in the inverse of what I really wanted. So we're actually going to select this and then rotate 180 degrees. And that is what I was kind of thinking might look more like a propulsion, like a bungee cord almost. Like if you entered that, you get propelled forward. We're going to open the properties panel. You'll see that these are all non-collidable. When I group them together and open the properties panel, it'll still say it's collidable, but they're not actually collidable. It's just kind of like that's the high level properties panel. So there's the trigger. And now we have this potential to add some upward momentum, right? So if I enter this, I'm just going to be propelled forward, which goes down. But this looks like it's propelling upward. So when we enter here, we can see that the forward direction is all we're using. But what if we want to add some upward momentum to this forward? Well, to do that, we just go to our values tab, set to, and add some amount. And so we're going to set forward. So we've currently set it to the forward direction of self. And then we're going to go grab the operators tab, scroll to the top, grab the plus symbol, and then thumbsticking to the right to duplicate forward into the A slot. We're going to add to the current value of forward that we calculated here with another vector amount. So we'll go values tab, vector input, and we want it to be 0 with an upward amount and 0, because we're not trying to change the X and the Z values, we're only trying to change the Y value. Now this is going to be multiplied out by quite a bit. So I'm going to just set it for 0.5 for now. So that's 5 meters up is the current throw. And So you're getting thrown more forward than upward. Like that's kind of important, right? So I want to throw more forward than upward. In fact, I'm going to go set this to 0.35. And then I'm actually going to change the throw forward to 15 to make this like a more intense forward throw. And now when we've completed this, you might notice that by breaking it into two set twos, there's one place we can make this a little bit more efficient. Where we can do that is this forward direction of self can actually be dragged right here to replace this forward. And so previously, this kind of breaks it into just two lines, makes it a little easier to understand, sort of, but it also can make it more complicated to understand. And so I'm actually going to go here and do it in one singular line, because I think this actually looks a little bit cleaner. Sometimes when you have longer like equations, like if we added something else to the forward direction or we did some more manipulation to it, it'd be better to have it in two lines. And that's kind of my thought there. It might be worth noting, though, for future reference when we read this script in the future, why it's 0.35. And so we'd say adding upward momentum of 0.35. There we go. So adding upward momentum of 0.35. So that kind of explains why the forward direction has an addition of 0.35 to it. It is worth noting that we could make this a variable, which would make it another easy way, right? So we could create a variable called upward momentum that we could then type 0.35 into, which would remove the need to add a comment. But for now, this is okay. Just one way to show the use of comments. And so another like a good example of using comments would be to explain why are we moving the player 2 meters forward, right? So we are moving player 2 meters forward, forward. Oh my gosh, this keyboard. Moving player 2 meters forward to prevent ring/foot friction. There we go. Okay, there we have it. So that's another good way to explain it. And, you know, like this number 15, why are you using 15? Well, we could say 15 is arbitrary. We could also create a variable called forward push, and that would be another way to explain it. That's much easier. And then we can adjust that value. So say, for instance, there was 3 rings. You could have, in fact, let's do that, right? So let's go create a new variable number called forward push, and then click confirm, and then type in 15 as the default. Now we can drag that over into here. Requires no comment now. And what we can also do is maybe even create that new vector I was telling you about, the vector for upward momentum. So we'll call this up momentum. So this is another way we can explain what we're doing, which we know is 0.35. So we'll type that in. And now we can drag that in to replace this vector value input with a variable input. And now we can delete this. And the only one we need to keep is this one explaining the number 2 here. And we actually might not even need this. So I kind of want to delete this and test it real quick. So delete, come in here, test. Yeah, works just fine without that. So we don't need this move player by offset anymore because we've added upward momentum. And there we have it. Okay, so let's talk about these variables. Variables are so cool. They're so powerful. And if you've never used them, and welcome Sushi. Welcome anybody who's just joined, because this is pretty exciting. We've created infinite falling already with this super simple TP script here, where we set the up by amount to be twice the scale of the y of this vector, so it moves them up to above at an equal distance so that it looks like they're continuously falling. And then we just say when triggers entered by player, move player by offset of up by. It's super duper cool. And if you have any questions about it, just ask. But what we're working on right now that I'm super excited about is this. So we're going to select the trigger first. We're going to then select our grouped thing here. We're going to slide this over to the left. And once we get this in a decent position, it doesn't really matter yet. We're going to then duplicate this over an amount that looks relatively center-ish, and then array tool a copy. This keeps them at equal distances. We can then select all 3 of them. So we're just going to start by selecting the trigger, select this, then select these 2, then select these 2. We can now move them to be centered. And so we do that by selecting from one of these center points, centering it there. We can then slide that to about there. And so what I want to do is make it so it goes from like weakest to medium to strong. And so I'm going to take this and just shrink it down. And I really want to keep it centered, but I also want to keep it at the same value of this. So I think I'm just going to eyeball it to be, yeah, that's pretty good. And I don't think that the scaling made the circles look very good. Something weird went on there, I think. No, it's weird. We'll come back to it. But this one I want to be like the most powerful. So we're going to scale it up. And I think similarly here, we kind of got an issue with the position. So the trigger here could probably be a lot bigger. And so what we're going to do is use those variables that we just created to define how much more powerful it is. So this is the most powerful of them all. So we're going to take the up momentum and just double it, 0.7. We're going to take the forward push and double it to 25. It's not doubled, it's 15 times whatever, 1.75 or something like that. 1.666 repeating perhaps, I'm not sure. Anyway, so forward push is 25. It's a nice number. These numbers are arbitrary, man. They're not like important. They're just, you try them and if they work, they work. And so then this one, we want to be somewhere in the middle. So we're going to take this to 20 and we're going to take this to 0.5. And so what we should be able to try here is script, stop and play, just as a good habit. So this is the weakest of them all. And that's what we were doing before. And it doesn't hit the mark. This next one is a lot stronger. So it should get us to the mark. Yep, that was almost perfect. We could adjust that a little bit, but that was just almost perfect to hitting us here. The last one we've got is the super big one. Woo! And that one really shoots us too far in that direction. And so there's another cool trick I just realized here. Oh, I can't believe I didn't even think of this. Oh, I didn't think of this until just now. Okay, really excited to show you this. That's what I wanted to do. It's like, what am I doing? I feel so silly not noticing this earlier. So previously we were setting forward direction to be plus some amount of up momentum. This isn't a bad way to do it. In fact, this is probably better because we can have a little bit more control over how much up and how much not up. But I was thinking about it from a visual standpoint. I really wanted the visuals to match like what it was doing. And so we're going to just select the set, which selects the whole code block. We can then thumbstick to the right to duplicate it. We're going to delete this entire plus symbol and just drag forward direction down and delete this top forward. This is exactly what we had before. Okay, I know. We're backtracking here a little bit, but you're going to love it, I hope. We can now delete the up momentum because it's no longer necessary. And so now the only value we have to adjust on each of these triggers is this forward push. And the reason we can do that is because we can select the trigger, and you'll remember that the forward direction is the forward direction that's going in that direction. But if we rotate it to match the alignment of our spheres here, not spheres, these toruses, we now have the same like forward direction as that, which is brilliant. So then for this one, we can do the same thing, just rotate that to match. Oops, come on, there we go. And then for our last one, we can do the same exact thing, sort of. There we go. It's kind of hard to get it there exact, but there we go. So that's good. And then what I wanted to do was make this one shoot more upwards. And so now we can just rotate this like that. And now it propels you more up. And I wanted to do the same with this one. And so that is pretty good too. I want it to kind of be like a phase, like forward more, slightly upward more, and then like max upward. And because we've removed the up by amount, the amplification of these will need to be increased. And the reason is we were previously taking a 1 meter long vector and adding additional length to it. And now we're not doing that. So we're going to need to make this power increase. So we'll have to increase the power to compensate. But ideally, that's not too bad. Let's go ahead and try that one more time. And I want to see if I can just fully forward into it. Yep, you can forward and just barely make it. I love that. So this next one should be forward and I overshoot. Nice. Okay, so we're going to go, I'm pressing forward on my thumbstick, by the way. That's what I mean when I say I'm going forward. So I'm going to press forward and let go and totally made it. Super duper nice. Next one is the big one. So this one should be like super high. Yep, so now we're going super high and we'd have to pull back to make it, but I think all we need to do really is just select these two and just apply the hairest of hair of upward tilts there. And now when we go through it, it should nail us. Yes, perfect. Okay, so if our goal was to always hit that, then we've done it. I do think these two are perfect. I think this one could use just a little bit more forward momentum. So let's go to 15 and change it to 18. And then that might be too much. Let's try it out. Okay, little boy. No, missed it. But I think that's okay. If I push forward, I totally make it. So I don't think, like, that kind of makes sense that it won't hit the same force. Now this one goes up more, totally gets us almost center. And this last one, like, we could play with these numbers to just get them a little bit better, but I'm super happy with that. So, okie dokie. Whew. So I'm trying to think about what this game is. Like, we talked a little bit earlier about using some asset spawning to spawn infinite assets. We also talked about the problem of bouncing on things and how you're constantly looking down and how that hurts your neck. And then you're, for days. And like, that's definitely not an experience that I want to put on people. I'm also thinking I really am not a huge fan of these springs. I kind of want to adjust them a little bit. Let's do that real quick. Sorry, one second. I'm going to ungroup this. I'm going to delete these. Deselect the bottom. It looks like I need to relock these. I forgot to lock them. Lock, and where's that smaller one? Lock. There we go. Okay. So then what I wanted to do was the same thing we did before. So we imagine the distance we want them to be is about that, but then we grab from this top snap point, and then we shrink it just a hair, and then we bring it down into here, snap it onto the center of that top snap point, and then array tool. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. And now we can delete the big one. There we go. Now that is much more like what I was looking for. We can then deselect the trigger, group those together. I'm going to turn off collidability, even though I know it's already off inside. We're going to slide this down so it's at the top of the trigger. So just right at the top. There we go. So theoretically, the way I'm thinking about this is like, if somebody, the jump button changed. I was like, if somebody jumped onto the top of this, it would like make sense, right? Like you could imagine jumping in and trying to hit the top, so you hit it right at the trigger where the trigger is located. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and delete these other two because I'm just really not a fan of the way those turned out. And delete. We'll then duplicate from there and scale down. Make sure that looks noticeably, that's noticeably smaller. There we go. And then we'll duplicate a copy of this. Notice that I'm putting my hand inside of the big one so that when I grab the duplicate, I'm not that wasn't supposed to happen. Okay, we're going to just select this, then duplicate. There we go. Weird. That should have done something different. Anyway, there we go. That is our 3 bouncers. And I think this one needs to get pulled back a little bit so it more closely aligns with those. And because I want it to be straight back, not necessarily, downward back might not be the worst thing. Let's try downward back a little bit. So we just slide it back like that. It's not the worst thing. Up just a hair. We're just going to eyeball it. It's fine. And down a little bit. Nice. Okay. There we go. That is much more visually pleasing. Oh, and I was thinking about making them gold, but maybe we'll make this white here. Unlock it. Selecting this whole object, I can paint it all at the same time. I've eyedropper tool the unlit white that's currently on it. We could grab maybe like a pink might be nice. Something light there that now when we come in kind of differentiates itself from this color. And if you really want to go crazy, you could probably even add a hue cycler. We did a tutorial on the main channel with Hyperjewel where she teaches the hue cycling script. And this one. And if I grab the script out of here, we can just apply, delete all of this stuff. We can apply what would be colored lights to this guy. Now this does make it an animated object, and by making it an animated object, that is going to cost an extra animated object, and we don't have a lot of those. You'll remember that we're aiming for a 32-player world, so with 32 players, that only gives us a little bit of, actually, that's quite a bit. Holy moly, 73%. Well, this is only going to take up 0.25%, so I think we're fine. Bubble wrap popping just has so many bubbles. It's like there are so many bubbles there that it takes up a ton of capacity. So depending on what we do here, that's why we're looking at asset spawning, is to save that space. Okie doke. So we've got the grouping here. We're going to add the colored light script to it. And you can see that by default, it's already working. We can change the numbers. We can change the numbers in here. Max loop delay, hue, start hue. Perfect. It's already fading at such a nice speed. Some of the things that we can change though, like the speed, right? Oh, fade speed. All right, so we can change this to like 15. So if I backspace type, why am I getting some weird lag? 15. And now it should be going a little bit faster. You could definitely make this a lot more fast, but I really want this to be light and just kind of aesthetical, not necessarily something that draws your attention like a club would. There's some deprecated scripts in here, but it's not really that important, although we could easily fix it. Yeah, we can easily fix it. So we're just going to go quickly grab cancel sending with delay, put that at the very top of the loop. We're going to cancel sending a loop to self. We'll also, yeah, we'll leave that there. And then here we send event with delay, just drop down and select loop. And the reason we have to add the cancel sending with delay is because the previous loop that was deprecated already like basically had that built into it. Sort of, not really. That's not helpful, but anyway, besides the point. Point is, sorry, I'm just like, you do need to add this cancel sending loop or else you're more prone to bugs than somebody else might be. So add the cancel sending with delay. We fixed it. What I wanted to change was the saturation and value. So I wanted to desaturate this a little bit so that it has less color. So it's more like a pink tone. So you get these kind of like lighter pastels. And I'm kind of liking that a little bit. The value, if we make it brighter, so we go to 1, this is going to give us that much more pastel-like coloring. I'm actually going to change this to 0.95, so it's not 100%, and I'll explain why as soon as I'm done. And then this one I'm going to change to 0.45 and just see if I like that better. 0.45. Yeah, that is better. More baby blue sort of color. Yeah, those are going to be nice. Okay. And so the reason that I adjusted our value from 0.95 down from 1 to 0.95 is because we're using a hue saturation value conversion to RGB. And if you're at 100% on any value, it decreases the number of colors possible. There's technically like 6 something million colors possible, but if you have 100% there, it removes a ton of them. And to give you an idea why, if you look at your style tab and you look at this manual color slider, when you're peaked at 100%, that's like being up here. It's like being in one of these corners. And so like 100% value would be this edge, right? So I believe 100% value is just the colors along this edge. And so you want to kind of like avoid being on this edge because the colors just are not as many. Whereas up in here, there's a lot more variation when the decimal places are kind of not perfect. So anyway, hopefully that helps explain that a little bit better. In my experience, what I've seen when I'm at 100% on these values is you get some like flickering, like almost stepping stones. So it's less of this smooth, like these colors look super smooth. You can't even really tell they're changing. But if you didn't do that, it would be more like flickering the color steps. Okay. Whew. With a little bit of explanation out of the way, let's show off what this looks like. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and start falling. So I'm pulling back to slow down. Oh no, we're falling to the next side. Oh wow, we're going. Something seems off. Is there something off? Oh, there is something off. I know what it is. Oh my gosh. There is a problem. Okay. Problem was we got thrown out of the area and our momentum just would not stop falling. This thing is also in the view, which caused some like weird issues, but what I wanted to do early on, but I totally forgot about, is we wanted to put up some walls to make sure people couldn't fall out of this trigger. And it would also help so that if you got thrown too far, that would not be an issue either. So we're going to just snap this, like make it pretty decent for now, and then snap it to there, then slide it over to here, open up the properties panel, turn off visibility. Then we can slide this up to some height. Doesn't really matter, like pretty high is good idea. We can then duplicate a copy to here and then scale this copy to the same scale as that, delete this copy, and then grab from this checkpoint, oh, wrong one, grab from this top right corner and then snap to there, an array tool like we've done in the past to create a cube. And you'll see it's all nicely snapped. Then what we want to do is select from here and then drag this to the starting point here. You'll notice that there's an edge here that's a little too thick, so we need to bring that edge in so that it's not beyond the thickness of this wall. That looks pretty good. And then we can duplicate this over because I want to just keep this super duper. I want to make this as symmetrical. I'm going to do, that's why I made that like that. And then that lines up perfectly with that, more or less, although I'm going to snap it so it's a little bit more perfect right there. How does that look? No, that one's not clipping out of the wall, whereas that one is. Let's see if I snap this to a different point, or should I just eyeball it? Let's just eyeball it right there. Perfect. And then coming in here, just checking. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Okie dokie. Now that has created a nice area. Now there is this kind of one caveat here where players could potentially backtrack somehow. Potentially, it's very unlikely, but just to make sure that this is a perfectly protected area that people can't get out of, we're going to then slide this over to here and then grab from here and slide this up. Oh yeah, I guess this is important because we also need to put it below. Good point. So then we'll snap that to there and then slide that up to here. Okay, perfect. There we go. Our area has been now fully protected. You cannot fall out and miss this trigger. And then with these large ones that kind of surround the world, I like to just lock these ones. Thinking about the symmetry again, because I'm just like, I like symmetry. Let's be symmetrical. I'm going to go ahead and just slide that like that and then continue locking. Definitely not a requirement, but just a nice little thing. And then selecting these four, I'm going to turn this into a plane, group, and then lock. There we go. So that has just one hole in the center. So this whole area is pretty well encapsulated. We didn't put a roof on it now that I think about it. So let's do that real quick. Duplicating from here up to there. And then lock this one again, select this one, and then just scale that to all of those edges. And lock. Perfect. Coming in, we can now try that again. And even in the big one, we're going to pull back, and ooh, landed it. Nice. So the trick is needing that landing, because if you build up too much momentum, but by the way, if you haven't seen this, this is the thing. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's like absolutely insane. Oh my goodness. We're hitting terminal velocity and we've fallen out. Okay. That was awesome. That was so awesome. So that is the game, right? So if you fall this way, you can see the illusion falls apart because you can see the illusion falls apart. But if you are in the game and you're paying attention, you're not going to, like, the illusion doesn't break, which is cool. So if you've just joined us, welcome. And what I wanted to quickly share is that we've been working over the past hour and 12 minutes to build what is theoretically an infinite falling game mechanic, right? So we've built the falling teleport up, we've built the launching into the game, and we've created this game. The only problem with like actually building a game is we don't have something that allows players to do something. That makes sense. So one idea that I had was to grab something like this and bring in the bubble hop script. And I'm just going to rewrite it because it's a really easy script. In fact, we kind of already have it here, honestly. Actually, yeah, we totally already have it here. It's just this script. So just duplicate this trigger. And let me show you what it looks like. So we'll snap this into here. The forward direction is pointing upwards so that they'll bounce upward, and then slide this down. Because I want to customize this script for these poppers in case we do decide to make this into an actual game, I'm going to duplicate this script that we were using on those, open up the properties panel, and then rename this and call it Popper, which is actually the same name I gave the one in the other one. So Falling Popper might be a better name. So we don't, in case I ever happen to import both of these scripts at the same time. Okay, Falling Popper. And so this is going to add player physical velocity with the forward push. We're going to change the default forward push from 15 down to like 5. Yeah, 5. And then we can open up the trigger, and you'll notice that inside the trigger, you need to change the, sorry, that's not the trigger. I was like, why is it not there? Open up the triggers property panel, and we need to change this to be the default. We can make it default again by clicking the X button, which returns to the default of 15 because we haven't swapped the script, the Falling Popper script. There we go. So now that we have the new script attached, we could make customizations to this later on. And what we want to do is shrink this to about the same size as this trigger, and snap that to the center here. And I'd like to just move that into the right about there, and then we'll drag this trigger, scale that to there, selecting the trigger, selecting all of this. We can then group them together and start to build a mini game, which is quite exciting if I'm being honest. So let's imagine this is the center, and what we want to do is tell this thing to move to a random position within the confines of the play area when it's entered by a trigger. And so to do that is actually really easy. Mama Brie, if you're still here, shout you out in the comments. And thanks so much for sticking around. But if you're not, no worries. I totally understand you're sick and probably bedridden. So I hope you feel better soon. But what I wanted to share was this thing that we built in Mama Brie's world. It's just very, very similar. So I'm excited to be showing you guys today. Because I built the script and I was like, man, I should have recorded that. That was awesome. But when world is started, we need to save one more variable, which is the origin position. So create a vector, call it the origin position. Now, if this origin position, confirm, we'll then go to values tab, grab the set to, and drag origin position over. So this is the position that the value starts in. And this is nice because we know that we only have one right now. Not super nice when we have more than one. So we should probably reference some sort of like controller. So we're going to call this origin position control, because we could theoretically write some control script on this in the future and be able to, that's not an object. Try again. So new variable, drop down, select object, origin position control, origin position control. Now we could connect to this event and like do bunches of cool stuff. So now we're going to go to the operators tab, scroll down to object where we can grab position of object, and we'll use that control object to be our reference for the center position for every single one of these poppers. Because basically we're just going to duplicate these poppers everywhere, and that's going to be fantastic. So when the trigger is entered by a player, we want to then, after adding this physical velocity, just move it to somewhere else. And we can do that pretty easily by going to motion tab, grabbing the move to. We should also make a visual effect happen. So like when the player enters the trigger, it goes poof, and like add a sound effect. So let's just really quickly add a object, and we'll call this VFX, enter, confirm. And then we're going to add an object sound FX and confirm. And then what we want to do is move both of those to the current position. And since we're using this current position in 3 places, we're going to set that value. So we're going to go create a new variable vector called current position. And you'll see why this works so well in just a moment. We're going to set current position here, and give me a second to rot my brain through this. I'm so excited. So this first thing we want to do is move the sound effect, move the visual effect, and then play those. And those are going to be at this current position value. We're also going to move self to the current position. So we go to our actions tab, scroll down and grab play sound. And then we're also going to scroll down and grab play visual effect, drop that below the visual effect, and then duplicate the sound effect into the pill there where it said self, as well as into that self pill. Ta-da, 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 ta-da. Tell me, is it ta-da or ta-da? I don't know. I'm actually not sure. So we're going to need to set this current position. And this is the fancy math that I'm so excited to show you, which is we grab a plus symbol from the operators tab at the top, drop it in here, and what we do is add that origin position that we set on world start into the left side. And then the B slot, we go to our operators tab and grab new vector from X, Y, Z. Drop that into the right. Now, this position is going to be somewhere within a cube of this origin position. So somewhere between this height and this width. And we want it to be in the play space, not too far out that people are going to accidentally hit these walls, but far enough out. So we know that this height is probably the height we want to use. So I'm just going to attributes tab, recognize that it's at 27. So let's go with 30. We'll say 30 is a good number. So then in here, we're going to go into our variables tab, create a new number variable, which we're going to call radius. And this radius is a square radius. I've talked about this in the past if you watch the Falling Rain tutorial on the main channel. And I encourage you to watch that it's an amazing tutorial. And it uses this exact same concept and goes in a little bit more detail. But this radius has to be negative for what you'll see in just a moment, which is we go to the operators tab, scroll down to random number with decimals, drag that into the Z slot, and then we're going to go and grab the variables tab. Radius goes into the first position because it's negative 30, and then we go to the top where we can grab absolute value. That's the ABS, which makes a negative value positive because it finds the absolute value, which is also 30. So negative 30 to positive 30, we duplicate that into all of these slots, and now it's going to move to a random position every time a player enters it. You guys can hear me launching. Okay, I'm relaunching right now, so we'll be back in just a moment. It does appear we're back online, so that's good. Loading into Horizon Worlds first, and then I will get the audio connected once that starts loading up. Okay, there it goes. And switching you guys back on over to there. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so that's set up. Next thing I'm going to do is bring y'all back into VR with me. Grab, there we go. Perfect. And one more tab. Desktop panel, OBS, and that's experience. So hard to do. Okay, I'm back in Horizon, got those things pinned, and we're traveling back to the Infinite Falling demo. Edit world. Okay, here we go. Man, I feel like last time in 2 hours we built a much more compelling game, and like at this point it was just like, let's focus on art, and we like already had like game mechanics, and this time I'm just like, I don't really have a game mechanic yet. I mean, we're pretty close, like we're really close, but still. Here we are, we've spawned in, everything is probably still working. We can actually try it out because the script was already done when we left, so if we step in this, it should move to a... Oh, what the heck? Oh, because it's not animated yet? Oh. Oh no. Script, stop world. I've made some critical mistakes, guys. I'm sorry, I've made some critical mistakes. We got some work to do here. Oh, that's fine. No rush. Okay, so first thing is we've got sound effects moving to the current position. We've got playing sound, moving sound. So we need to set the current position on world start to be the current position of self. So delete all of this fanciness and just grab position of and replace origin position with self, because theoretically there's like some starting states to the game. So that's the current position. So then when this rolls through the first time the trigger's entered, it moves the sound effect, moves the visual effect, plays both of those, and then it sets the current position to be a new position based off the origin position plus the values that we set between the radius and the radius. And then we move self to that current position, except for it's not self that we're moving. So this is the first mistake I made, which is that this script is running on the trigger, not the popper. And so what we want to do is actually reference the trigger. So we're going to go trigger, and just like I talked about when we were doing that first reference, we're going to do the same thing here, where we scroll up to when world has started. we're going to listen to events on the trigger and move the script onto, listen to events on the trigger. We also know that the forward direction is actually using the trigger's forward direction, so we'll thumbstick that into there instead of self. And now we're going to receive the trigger enter event. We do need to move this script onto the popper itself, which isn't incredibly difficult to do. We do need to, I messed this up, unfortunately. I think we're just going to ungroup this, open the properties panel of the trigger, and then we're going to remove the falling popper script, and then close this guy here, select both of these, group them together, open the properties panel. Now we're going to attach the falling popper script. There it is. And we just need to reference all of the things. And for the sake of now, we're going to call this the center position. And I really want to orient this with the world, the way I see the world, so like that. And then we're going to use this as the origin position. We can change that in the future, but origin position control goes there. We'll go turn animation off on it because it's not animated. We do need to reference a visual effect and a sound effect. We'll get to that. But then we also want to open up the properties panel and zoom into this grouping, open up the trigger. And once we have the trigger open, we can then zoom out of the group, drag the trigger into the trigger pill here at the top. Now with that referenced, we just need to reference the sound effect and visual effect. We're going to talk very briefly about visual effects and their capacity cost, or excuse me, particle effects and their capacity cost. Most of them are pretty expensive. Let's start with that. But there's one very special one that is actually the most efficient, super cheap. You can have as many as you want, and that's the hit ring. And recently, I've been falling into this problem where asset spawning uses the world's published capacity, so the actual capacity cost when the world is published, not the capacity cost that you see in build mode. And the reason this is important is because there was a bug where the visual effects cost 0%. Then they fixed it and made visual effects cost capacity. We made a video about it recently. You might have even seen, where is that? Did I put it? Oh, I guess I don't have it on this account. I have it on my personal account. So you might have even seen the visual effects cost sheet. Those actually still count in the published world. And so your asset spawning will fail if you do not take that into consideration. So that's why I'm using this really efficient hit ring, because you can have like 5 or more of these for 1% capacity. And they're just really, really good. So we're going to go put that under visual effect. I'm also going to put looping on so I can see the size of it, because I want to make it look like this is poofing away when somebody steps on it. So right about that size looks good. And then I'm going to go turn off play on start and turn off looping. There we go. And now we can place this on top of our script. I like to keep my visual effects around the script that I'm writing so that I understand that this script is, all of the objects using this script are using this one visual effect is the idea. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do is implement a sound effect. Go to sounds, and we're going to go to pop and see what pops we got. There's not a good one. Definitely used some of these before. There's like, I think this is the best one because we haven't used it already, so it sounds different. We're gonna go change the volume to be louder. We're gonna change the distance, keep it at 100. Minimum distance will be maybe 3. No, we're gonna turn minimum distance off. So it'll always feel like it has some direction to it. The pitch, we're gonna try shifting it down. Nope, we're gonna try pitching it up. We're gonna try 0.5, see if that sounds better. I want it to feel unique is what I'm trying to do. I just don't want it to feel like the generic one. So we're gonna try 1.5, negative 1.5. Yeah, I think that'll do. Okay. So then we're going to drag that into our sound effects slot there. And the size of this does not affect it at all. So we're just going to go ahead and snap that to the top of our visual effect over here. There it is. So there's our little effects stack. So those will get teleported around every time a player steps into this. We've got the position. Everything has been linked in correctly. So this should be ready to go. And then just to kind of build the basis of this mini game, we're going to take one of these, place it over here. And since we want this to kind of feel like it has some really basic design qualities, like it's intentfully designed, intentfully, I don't know. So we're going to duplicate up to here. Then I'm going to duplicate and rotate to here, and then array tool, an array tool, an array tool. And so we're going to hit the capacity limit very quickly if we do this. But this is not a bad starting state, right? Like you could imagine a game having this as the starting state. Our capacity, it's up to 80% from 74. Not too bad. Ayo, Cody, welcome. Dude, if you want to join, just let me know, and I will add you as a tester so you can try this out. So we're going to go ahead and select the 4 center ones here. I'm going to raise, we'll lower these down. And then what we want to do is kind of like just grab these in sets. So I'm going to grab these ones. So this is every other one. And then slide these ones up. And actually maybe go down. And that, I think, is the pattern that I want to have for this. It's unique. It's not terrible. It's not great, but it's unique. There's one in the center. And in fact, I think on the center, we're going to do something a little bit... Did I forget to group these? No, they're good. Okay. So then we're going to do something a little bit unique on the center. We're going to place a ton of these onto this center one. The idea being that you want to go to the center place. So it's kind of like, what do they call that thing in that one movie where they've got the center thing? If you know what I'm talking about. Let's try that again. Duplicate. Trying to get that rotation just right. There it is. Yeah, there we go. That's nice. And then we can imagine like lifting up every other one of these. So like these could be lifted up. And then maybe these 3 are lifted up. Oh, come on. Select, deselect. Oh, okay, that is what it looks like. There we go, that looks nice. There we go. So now we've got kind of a pretty cool pattern. Our capacity is at 82%, not too bad. And it's starting to look like a game. Oh, the world's not started. So script and play world so we can go try it out. We'll jump through the middle one. Woo! Coming into the center and... Oh my gosh, it's such not enough capacity. Also, the I hate the jump button. Oh my gosh, I cannot stand it. I gotta go switch it. Press down on right thumbstick. Thank you. That's much better. Okay, this makes more. This is not enough. I also don't like the rings being collidable. Did I? My hand froze. What the heck? You okay, controller? Power you off and power you back on? Anyway, so that was really cool. Oh, there it goes. Oh, whoa. It like, when the menu's open, my hand is working, but when the menu's closed, my hand freezes. That is a weird bug. Okay, close my menu. My hands are working just fine. Resume Horizon. And neither of the hands are moving when I close the menu. They work in build mode though. Thank goodness for that. Okay, we're going to stop the world. And we're going to recognize a few different things. Number one, not enough bounce. We need a lot more bounce. So we're going to go to our popper and change the default poppingness to be much more. So we're going to go, the pop value we had set to 5. We're going to go set this to maybe 30. Give a lot more upward momentum. In fact, I think that's way too much. So let's go to 25. And then what I wanted to change was the collidability of these things. So you don't like get messed up or lose your momentum. So we're going to set object collidability on world start to false for the whole self. So that affects all of them. So I didn't have to go to into the properties panel to change it. No worries, Cody. Get some sleep. I'm sure you'll check this out at some point. It is just a demo, but it's a pretty cool demo. So here we go. And we're in. So game is starting. Hands are moving. Nice throw. We're into the game. Hit the pop. Oh, I missed it. Oh no, I missed it. But now I'm falling down. And I need to teleport up sooner. That's my first engagement with this, is I don't get enough time to know. And I'm also realizing that if you build up enough speed, the upward momentum is not going to help you because it's only going to offset it by a little bit. So you remember how I said don't use set momentum? Don't always use add to? This is the one time where that's not going to be the case. And I'll show you how we can do this in a way that actually makes sense. Yep, I'm going to show you how to do this in a way that actually makes sense. So we go to the motion tab, scroll down to player motion and grab set player physical velocity. So we want to set it to this value plus their current momentum along the plane without the y axis in it. To do this, we're going to grab the plus symbol and drag that and replace this. We're going to recognize it's this player, so we can move the player pill up. This is the first value we want to add to, and the value we want to grab is the player's move motion. So we go to Operators tab, scroll down to Player, and we should be able to get the player's motion. Let's see. Physical velocity of player. Yep. So we want to grab physical velocity of player, but we need to multiply that physical velocity to remove the y value. So we go down and grab physical velocity of player, putting it on the left side. This is for our player that's just entered the trigger, so we'll drag that down. And we multiply it by a vector of 1, 0, 1. That means it's going to keep the player's current forward and any forward, backward, sideways motion, but it's going to remove any upward and downward momentum. So that should feel pretty good for players when they enter that. So very nice. We can actually delete this comment as it's no longer relevant. And pretty happy with everything we're seeing here. Was there something else I wanted to fix? It was the upward position. So we know that the value that this is moving the player up by is accurate. There's no need to change that because this distance is accurate. So what we want to do is instead move this up to a point that is 30 meters below this, or even better, let's drag this up. This is going to be painful, but I basically need to redesign this whole game space, which is okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. But basically what we want to do is change this origin position to be upward. For the sake of us doing it right now, there's an easy way to, well, no, no, we don't want to do that actually. Anyway, let's script play. By moving the trigger up, we're now going to see the objects and have a little bit more time to get into the correct area that we're going towards. So we're going to go and land in this one. Ooh, nice. Wow, that's some serious upward momentum, which gives you plenty of time to land in the next one, which sends you flying up. So that's fantastic. So you definitely get a little bit of gameplay here. But if you're like, nah, I'm going down to the next level, you can drag through. And why might you want to do this? I think the reason you want to do this is to get moving faster and then line yourself up with that one. And okay, that is a trip. That is such a trip. And the reason you'd want to do this is say you're playing in some sort of like PvP battle. Maybe this battle isn't so necessarily a this is crazy. This is so crazy. Oh man, I love this. And the momentum keeps as I keep moving sideways. I love that. Okay. Ooh, it's too much. There we go. And so you could imagine, like, to get out of a player's view, you could be doing this. Although that's such a trip. That's such a trip. Oh, I can't get out. Get me out of here. Anyway, you get the idea. It's kind of crazy. It's a crazy thing. I am going to end us here in like just a few minutes. The only things I wanted to do is just kind of wrap this up. Invalid get player velocity on non-local player. Oh, no, it wasn't even using it. I just thought it was. That's hysterical. I just thought it was actually using it, but it wasn't. It doesn't matter. We do not need to get player physical velocity. It's it was literally unperceptible, so I don't think it matters. I do think it matters, but just like in this case, it's okay. So we're gonna go ahead and delete the plus symbol since it wasn't actually affecting it, and just drag the multiply down and delete this. And ayo, it is what it is. So if this was a local script, that could run, but you'd have to be the owner of the script. Anyway, point is, I don't do local scripts very often because they are a pain, and it's kind of like asset spawning. There's a lot of quirks in it that you just are hard to figure out. So I avoid it, which is why I also avoid asset spawning. They're just a little bit harder. Both of them are very powerful tools, and you can work your way through them, but expect to spend 2 hours just trying to figure out like little bugs and stuff. That's the part of why I avoid it. because I'm more of like, let's go build an entire thing in 2 hours, right? So anyway, cool stuff, cool stuff. What did I want to do? I kind of wanted to add some music so it feels more intense. So I was going to go grab the jukebox from the asset library. I think it's called the Boombox, BOOMBOX. That didn't pull up anything. Music? Is it in here? Boombox. Oh, it's Boombox with a space in the middle. Of course it is. Of course it is. So then we can place this on the back wall, or yeah, on the back wall. This won't be loud, very loud in the game itself, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. So joining the world, you can come over here, make sure the world is started, script and play. Come on in, and now we can hit the play button. Now we got some music. Turn that volume all the way up. Now I can only hear it if I'm near it, which kind of stinks. I guess I could quickly change that. There's actually an easy way to change that. Oh, I missed it. Oh, got it. The only problem is I can't get back here if I wanted to. Oh, that's hysterical. And stop. So how do we make these global? Also, good evening, Omni. Thanks for joining the stream. Also, welcome, Robert. Pleasure. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun as well. So I really enjoy sharing. We're going to go and zoom into this because we want to make this thing all global audio. We zoom into the group. We can select all of these at the same time, open the properties panel, and then what? That's not an option? That's weird. You would have thought that they would have the option on here to, okay, let them go. I guess wait. Oh, that's because they're still selected. Deselect. Okay. I guess I have to manually go in here and change them all to global. Can I do 2 at a time? Is there just something wrong with one of them? No, I can't. Oh, weird. Oh no, I just brought those out of the group. Zooming back in, let go. Mean Mug's one of my favorites too. Okay, and turn on global. Huh. So weird. Okay. Might take a bit of work to make these all global, but almost there. It's gonna suck if you want. Oh my gosh, I just realized the volume control isn't going to affect them because they'll be on global, which isn't how the volume controller works. Oh no, this volume controller was designed before they added the volume mechanic. So I think I need to go edit the script a little bit to get it to work correctly. Oh man, I don't know if I want to go through all of these. Did I pull that out? I didn't, okay. I'm going to just leave it like that for now. Some of these will not be global, but if we go into the volume mechanics script, this is moving the position of the entire thing. Ugh. Ugh, 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 ugh. Oh, I really don't want to have to manually put this in. Because all it does is move the object to a position, which is the volume. Oh. Oh, set volume to be the clamp between 0 and 1. So volume is a value between 0 and 1. That's the good news. The bad news is we need to adjust the volume on all of the objects in the list. So we need to know what script is running. Is it this one? What is running on this? This is running the volume script, okay. And this play button, I think, is the one running the main script. Let me open that. Okay, this trigger is running the Boombox script. So we need to create a reference inside of volume to the Boombox script so that we can send that value over. So we're just going to call this BB, B or BBox, and then click, or maybe BBox trig so that we know what it is if we're trying to understand a little bit more about it. Okay, so then what we want to do is send a volume event every time the volume changes to the BBox trigger. So we send that, let's go scroll up, send event to object right here when we're sending return. So we'll send BBox trigger an event called volume. There we go. There's the volume event, which will be sent with the volume value. Oops, there it goes. And now we can go into this guy. Open this up. This is a lot of work for a quick demo. It's worth it though. And then over here, drag this trigger into there. At some point, I should really go and actually update this in the actual asset. Maybe Meta will let me if I beg them politely. Okay, so now we're going to receive on the Boombox script this event called volume. So we'll say at the very bottom, I'm just adding it at the bottom, when event volume is received with the number value called volume, and click confirm. Double check I don't have any variables called volume. I don't, so that's good. We have tracks in a list. That's a good thing. So what we can do is create a new object list called iTracks. And what iTracks allows us to do is iterate through the entire list of tracks. So that's what the I stands for. And so what we can do then is say while, drop that into the volume event, grab the set to, and then we're going to set iTracks to be a copy of the track list. And then we need to loop through the entire list, removing one item at a time from the iTracks. We'll go grab remove item at index 0 from the iTracks list. So we'll go grab the number input 0. And what are we doing with that item? Well, we're going to set the volume. So actions tab, scroll down to set sound volume. And this is going to be set to the volume value. And then the track is going to be the item at index I. So we go get item from list and then put that as item 0 from the iTracks list. We've now updated the volume. We remove it from the list. So what we can then say is while there are more than 0 tracks in the iTracks list, so we scroll down to length of list, we can check the length of the iTracks list. And when that hits 0, it'll stop looping. And it'll have completed adjusting the volume for all of these tracks. And like that, we have done it. So let's go ahead and hit play. And now, volume actually seems good. It's global. And if I turn it up, it really gets turned up. Also, I'm pretty sure this is the song, now that I think about it, this is the one song that you get demonetized on YouTube for using. Why is the trigger not working? Skip track. Skip track. Why is it not working? Okay, pause. Turn it down. Why is this trigger not working? That's so weird. And song name display. Did I not hit play? Can't get list item. Expected item 0 to 16 got -1 on the Boombox. Oh, so something went wrong in... Oh, I'm so... Wait, no, I'm not. What did I do wrong? Boombox. Let's check it. Oh, this is running before all the items have been added to the list. Is that the case? No. Set iTracks to tracks while length of tracks is greater than 0. Get item 0 from the iTracks list. Set it to volume. And then remove item 0 from the iTracks list. Why? Let's hit play again. See if it, does it error on world start? No. So it errors when I change the volume. Okay. No, it didn't. Was it because the volume was out of index? Like I went down too low, and then when I go up, it's... No? Was it when I hit the skip button? No? Was it when I hit the... Oh. A new song is playing. Pause. Skip. Skip through all of them. Weird, it's now working. I wonder if I clicked on this before it had time to load all the songs in. Okay, but now if I set this to global, we can actually hear it when we go out and play. Yo, and we got volume control for global audio. So cool, so cool. Oh, hit that one. No, I'm running too far. Back in. So this is one problem I have to figure out how to fix. Oh, I'm not hitting the trigger. I wasn't hitting the trigger, I was going too fast. Okay. There's this like subtle momentum that you get when you go through that you can't undo. It's so weird. Is that a KO? Hi, KO. We're bringing in Nalia for the stream. Say hi, Nalia. Okay, I'm to try not to hit the trigger. I'm coming in. Oh. Oh no. I made it through. Turn down the volume. Nice. And this is now working again. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. I felt like there was something that I really wanted to add to this. Oh, Nolly's so cute. She's like, what am I doing, Mom? Super funny. Yeah, go for it. I'm wrapping up. I was going to be done in 10 minutes. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to do before I call it. Man, I felt really good about everything we've done in here. I think maybe I just wanted to talk about some of like the things that we need to be aware of, which is, number one, looking down, not good for your head. That's why I was trying to design this to be less of a looking down to try and get into the popper mechanic, and more of a looking at the players you're fighting with. So you could imagine shooting. So you might be looking up at somebody, or you might be looking down. The only problem is there's no like bouncing force field. And so one thing we might consider doing is just kind of like talking about ideas here is imagine that there is let's stop the world for a second. Imagine there is one of these bouncy things and we duplicate it and we stretch it out across the entire base of this space. So theoretically, you can't fall into this until the next round starts. So the idea is we can drag this trigger down and drag it down to like right about there where it started. Although I was actually right here. That's where it was. And so what I was thinking is we drag this out like that. We skinny it up a little bit and then make it super duper big. Skinny it up a lot. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but the idea is there. And then we're going to center that right about here. And then we're going to take the trigger part of it and drag that out to be the same size as this trigger. So you could imagine a game where you're constantly falling, but you're falling into this, right? Like this kind of like bounce pad area. And then when the game is over and you fall to the next layer, this gets despawned, everything up here changes, and then you fall down to the next floor. And you could even group these four or all of these together and change the color of them so that the color is even changing when the game mode changes, which would be really cool. So let's go ahead and hit play and kind of see what this is like. It's too bright, first and foremost. It's way too bright. Let's turn down this white value. Let's actually select it and scale it down as well so it looks more like that. And for the color, we're going to just gray it out a little bit. And it's not very good, is it? Let's go with maybe a plastic tone, super plastic white maybe. That is not great, but it's not as bad. It still blends in, so I'm thinking we need some sort of manual, kind of like that pink tone we did earlier. We could even, do the same color fading cycle on it, right? So like if I open up the properties panel of this, I can simply attach that colored light script and it'll automatically be what we saw before. We can just change the start hue to start at like 0.9 so it starts pink. We could change the fade speed to be even slower at 5, so it's way slower fade. There we go. And script, stop, and play. Okay, so there we have it. Oh my gosh, that's kind of intense. Let's go. So now we kind of come up in here, and so the idea is that every layer has this. Whoa, that didn't work. Why did this trigger not work? Close that. Why did this trigger not work? Because this one is running the old script, which adds 25. So if you're falling at more than 25, it doesn't change it. So this just add 100. Why the heck not? So let's see what this does. So you jump in. If you build up enough momentum, this thing will just completely not work. But oh, okay. It works. Maybe a little too well. Let's go. I'm thinking the script that we're using on the popper where we're I don't want to do that though. No, we're not going to do that. Definitely a lot of thinking there. You know what? We're going to do it. Okay. Let's just see what this does. So as much as I really didn't want to, let's instead of using add player physical velocity, let's do set player physical velocity. Hey, we didn't notice it the first time. Let's try it again. So set player physical velocity for the player to be that same value we calculated. The idea is that it could remove some of that sideways motion we were getting that was causing some weirdness, but it also means that on this, we can just set it to be 30 and the player won't get bounced to the moon. So now we'll go and I don't even need to stop play. This should be fine. Okay, let's jump in. We're going in. Let's hit one of these. Let's hit one of these on my way down. Oh, let's get it. Let's get it. Oh, I missed it. That's okay because we're bouncing. We have a chance to grab a different one. And booyah, we're going. It would be nice to add the sound effect to the other ones as well. Boom, there we go. And so now the thought might be that you have just a gun and you're shooting and you're just sliding left and you're hitting players as they're going up and down. And then these little bouncy pads aren't really necessary, but they could like improve your gameplay if you manage to hit one. Or like you might see someone over there and you just know there's one right behind you. So you like hit it, but you look up and you grab that and you get like a double bounce and then you're like coming down sniping on them. Yeah, there's some really good ideas here. And so we really just want to try and minimize this like neck motion. In fact, I still think this is a little too intense. And maybe I think it's too intense because I popped something like 20,000 bubbles or something ridiculous in bubble wrap. But, you know, I love the changing colors down there. It's so subtle. You don't really notice it, but it's just so nice. Okay. Boom. This is great. There's definitely some math that could be done to make sure it doesn't like end up in the same position as something else. There's some math we could do to make sure that it doesn't end up in this object. There's definitely some things that could be done, but as far as I'm concerned, good stuff. I'm going to wrap it here. And thank you all so much for joining us today in this awesome tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed. I'm going to send us off. I'm not, do I publish it and invite people to check it out? What time is it? We got 5 minutes. Sure, let's do it. Okay, so we need a picture from around this position. So I'll grab a cube, place it right there, go stand on the cube. Stand on the cube, there we go. Grab my picture and rotate that around, take the picture. Oh, that's a video, stop. Photo mode, take photo, try it the other orientation. I always mess this thing up, it's so hard to use. There we go, got it. That's totally fine for now. So we'll go and script, world tab, choose, select from photos, select this one looks the best. You get a much closer up image, which is kind of nice. Let's see how that looks when you look at the menu though. Not terrible, but I think the other one might actually look better. So choose, select from photos, select this one, click confirm. We could always move in closer too, right? Like could just move in closer like that. Try that one more time. Yes, Gail? You just tell me the water's going to turn on? Yeah, it should be fine. I'll let you know if it's not. Or I'll just end if it's not. Okay, take the photo. That should be a little bit better. We'll go into here, choose. I loved it in pink though. Oh, that's okay because this thing's so buggy it's not going to show me the new photo, is it? Yep, that happens. Okay, so that's good. Infinite falling demo. The only problem is this should really just be inside of this area. So if you miss this bouncer, you could fall infinitely, just so people can experience the infinite falling, since otherwise it's not there, which does lead to a couple problems, but let's just quickly try it. So if you fall off the side here, it's going to teleport you in, which doesn't feel super infinite because of the giant thing there. But yeah, it's not as cool. It's not as cool. Undo, 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 undo. Yeah, we really have to despawn things when you get into the infinite falling phase. It is what it is. Okay. Anything else that I'm thinking here before hitting the publish button? I was thinking about the skybox, and I just realized we have it set to global when we have it as a 32-player world. Oops, that's a mistake. I was thinking about changing this to be, how cool would that look? Does that look super cool? That does look super cool. Oh, that looks way cooler. That's way cooler. Oh, yeah, I kind of feel like we have to do that. Like obligation now. Oh, this is so cool. Yeah. Oh, and the way that looks going down, oh, that feels so neat. Oh, that's so cool. I know it's not the same experience and like it's not the infinite falling loop. So one of my ideas for the infinite falling loop was to make it feel more like you're infinitely falling, was to take this concept and make each of these a duplicate with that same distance that we did. And so have them at equal distance down below. So like when you were falling down, you would be able to see it. So you'd see it coming, right? Like, oh my gosh, there it is again, right? So you could even estimate like how you're going to get to it. It's just, I didn't really want to encourage the downward looking behavior because of the neck movement. So, yeah, cool. Let's see. Last steps. We have just a couple. Well, there's less than a minute. Do I really want to publish this? I guess I should retake the picture at least. Did I lose the cube or did I delete it? I think I deleted it. Bring out a cube again. Set on here. Take the picture. Yeah, that looks way cooler. And sideways like that. And photo mode. Snap. Fantastic. Oh, but this was the problem, is it wasn't going to let me replace the picture because Horizon be like that sometimes. Darn. I have to go to my personal space and come back, I believe. What can people do in your world? Bouncy demo. It's not really an infinite falling demo because I've removed it and made it bouncy. Functionally, this makes sense. It is super intense. I'm going to just turn on intensity. It is art, if anything. It's acknowledged. It's for 18 plus. Oh, it's for everyone. What am I thinking? 18 plus. I'm not going to publish it just yet. What I wanted to do was consider, as much as I love this experience, I think people are going to visit here just to try the infinite falling experience out. So I was thinking about making a button to switch the mode. So that's such an easy thing to do. Gizmos, trigger. So we'll call this the current mode break. I don't want to make that spell it out. Current mode break, and then bounce. Okay, so it starts as bounce mode, and then if you touch it, it's going to switch to a different mode is the idea. So then we just put the trigger here, and when people put their hand in this trigger, it'll switch modes. It doesn't really need to be explained. It's just kind of, it's a thing. So then on this trigger, we need to run a quick script that can engage with all of the things to swap between the modes. So we'll create a script, and then we'll have a very, very simple mode script with a Boolean called bounce mode, and press confirm. And so we say bounce mode starts as true, and then we say if when event is received, actually we do want to have when world is started, so this event will be called trigger enter by player because it's running on the trigger. So we say when trigger is entered by player, we need to know about the text object, so we'll create a reference to the text object, call it txt. Also good band. So then when world is started, we want to send trigger enter to self. We're going to call this swap modes. Okay. And send event to self, which is going to be the trigger enter event, or excuse me, trigger enter, not trigger exit. And then we send that to self with a server player as a parameter so that it's received, because otherwise it won't be received because it needs to be received with a player value. And then what's going to happen when it's received is it's going to ask a question. It's going to say if the bounce mode is what we're currently in, But if we're not in bounce mode, what do? And then when we're done doing all those things, we're going to set bounce mode to not bounce mode. So it switches the next time the trigger is entered. So set bounce mode to not bounce mode. We're not going to even add a delay. You're just going to be able to press this as much as you want, which is kind of inconvenient, but it's what it is. So last thing we're going to do, normally I'd add like a send event with delay to re-enable and set trigger detection to false. So it isn't constantly just like smack, smack, smack. But for this time, it's okay. So if bounce mode, else. And then what we want to do is display text on the text object so that the text object says what's going on. There it is. And then we're just going to type in exactly what we typed into that, which is not the most efficient way. There's definitely better ways to do it, but it's not too difficult. So say current mode colon break bounce, and then duplicate this display into the else, and then edit bounce to say falling. Maybe so it'd be like bounce or falling. Maybe we'll just call it fall. Yeah, call it fall. So you have bounce or fall modes. And then what we need to do is define what happens in those modes. And there's two things that happen. So you have two triggers. So we need the B trig, which is for the bounce trigger, and we need the F trig, which is for the fall trigger. So, where's the F trig? Or sorry, click object, then type F trig, and confirm. And now there's actually some really easy ways to engage with these. So we're going to set, we're going to go to actions. My brain is at the very end of the day. Sorry, guys. So set trigger detection. We need to do this for two different triggers. The first trigger is the bounce trigger. So we have bounce trigger, and then we have the fall trigger. We know that the bounce trigger needs to be true when bounce mode is true. So we can just drag bounce mode into this Boolean. But we know F trigger needs to be false. To flip a Boolean, use the not operator. So we just duplicate this up here, which says set F trigger to be not bounce. So if bounce is true, it sets it to false. If bounce is false, it sets it to true. So this allows us to flip the detection on both of these. That easy. Okay, so now that we've engaged with both of the triggers, there's also the visibility of the bouncer. So we need to go to object, and this is going to be called the bouncer. And then confirm. And then what we want to do is set object visibility of bouncer to be also bounce mode, because if it's true, then it's visible, and then if it's false, it's not visible. Okay, so with that set up, this shall work. We just need to attach the swap mode script onto here, and then we need to reference all of the things, which is honestly the hard part. So reference the text object there. Go ahead and close out of that. And then we need to go reference the triggers and things. So I'm going to grow that by thumbsticking to the right while holding the top. You can scale it. There we go. Opening up the, oh, sure, we'll go with that one. So this is the bouncer. So we'll drag that into the bouncer slot there. And then we'll go into, there's the trigger. Thumbstick forward to bring it to me. And then drag that trigger, and that is the bounce trigger. And then the last one, I love how I think this is the hardest thing. I'm like, I hate doing this. This is my least favorite thing of all time. I'm just like, it's so much easier to write a script than to have to connect these references. Oh, man, me. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and say, yeah, we don't even need to affect this, but we could turn this off because on start, it's not on. And then what we need to do is drag this up to right around here, because remember, we want them to get teleported up pretty easily. So that works. And the only thing that I think we need to do is create a respawn trigger below the whole world. So if somebody for some reason falls out of this whole thing, we can get them back to the surface. And to do that, we go player setting, asset library, search for spawn, and there it is. So we'll bring this teleport and respawn here. And then we can keep the trigger, delete the rest of this, keep the script. Heck, we'll even keep the spawn point and spawn them right here. Sure. In fact, we just need to open the properties panel and turn spawn on start on, and then we can delete this one like It's not like that one was being used anyway. There we go. That's good. Okay, so with that set up, we just need to stretch this trigger below the whole world. But what I like to do with my triggers is add a collidable cube below them so that players can fall onto the cube, which makes trigger detection more accurate. We do want to turn off the visibility of this, so we turn off visibility, but leave collidability on. Now selecting both of these, we can now stretch this out like that below the world. And just kind of like imagine somebody somehow safe space glitches out or whatever happens. We just want to have this safety catch that can catch the player and teleport them back to the world if for some reason something happens. I'm putting it down pretty low though, in case somebody's going so fast that they glitch through this trigger. They'll then fall into that. There's another opportunity where that falls into play. So that's nice. And then this script, I just want to make bigger. So we're just going to scale that up and leave that there. Okay. So that is all good to go. Let's go ahead and script and play and see if that works. So we can turn current mode to fall mode and it's gone. And so now if I jump off, I should be falling infinitely, which is going to look pretty cool. It's not as cool with those little things on it, but it's pretty cool right here in close. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm like, I know I could make it better, and I'm debating if I want to make it better or not, but I'm like pretty happy. So I did want to, I guess, double check that turning it to bounce mode does work. So now if we fall, we should just bounce. Woo! Yep, that works. Very nice. The one thing we might consider doing, I get so carried away. I get so carried away. I get carried away. Gun. Search asset library for gun. Ugh. Arena pistol is the only thing I see in here that's actually pretty decent. Does it come with the target? It sure does. No, it doesn't. Oh yeah, it does. Oh no, it's got the script for the target, but it doesn't include the actual target. Oh, silly meta scripting team who put this together. If you search for like shooting range, it's going to come with all those scripted things that are like all those scripts that were in there. There's actual things that should come with it. Oh, it didn't come up under shooting. I know I've seen it because I pulled it out of the asset library the other day. It's under interactive, remove. Maybe I have to search target. They're probably like, we don't want to use the word gun or target or anyway, here under interactives, we're going to find all those video assets, which is pretty cool. We're looking for ooh, the dartboard is so cool. Throwing target, no. Shooting target, homing ball, no. Throwing with your hand can be really painful on your hand. Weird. Okay, so I don't see it in here. Aim assisted ball throw. I guess maybe they removed the target from, which is strange because the Arena Clash target thing is amazing. But I guess I must have manually made it myself, remade it. That doesn't surprise me. I would do that. There's the Arena pistol. I guess what I wanted to do, which I don't think is soup teleporter device. This is exactly what I'm looking for. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Oh no, that's a teleport gun. Never mind. That's actually really cool, but that's not what I was looking for. Let's go to the Arena pistol. I'm so lazy. I don't even like go write a script for a gun. I can do it in 5 minutes. It's gonna take me as long as it would take to rewrite this. Okay. So there's our script. We don't need, oh wait, there is a target in here. It's just hard to see because it's, I'm so sorry, Meta. I didn't mean anything bad I said. I'm so sorry. Just sometimes you guys are known for making mistakes. It's like, I'm so used to it at this point. Let's go and grab a nice blue, put that on the outside, and then we'll put a nice red or kind of like even a pink tone because I'm feeling it right there in the center. It's actually more hot pink. There we go. Nice. And I kind of want to dole it out just a hair. That's a little, oh, no, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. So then we have to ungroup this because this is one of the old assets that was made in this really old manner. That's okay. And we'll delete this. I'm pretty sure there's bugs with this. I remember there being bugs. I don't really care though. I'm just gonna let it be what it is. We're going to not worry about the scripts. We're just going to grab this thing, and we're going to duplicate this all over the place. So this gives people something to shoot at if they come in here. And I want it to be snapped. I'm going to choose to select this item first, then select this. Because for some reason it's not snapped otherwise. And then we're going to go around the corner, and then we're going to array tool. And that wasn't enough, so we're going to try that again. So we're going to duplicate around the corner and kind of in a downward motion. And then we'll maybe duplicate upwards. And then this is such a bad way of doing this. I don't mind though. If I remember correctly, these should just move around near their home spot where they were originally placed. So it should just add a bunch of targets. And then all we need to do is grab a few of these guns, which are unfortunately super high capacity. So we're only going to be able to have a few, even though players at 32, 96%. This thing is like probably most of the world's capacity. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to duplicate this down. 2, 3, 4. Yep. Oh my gosh, is it really 3% over? Okay. We can have 2 guns. You guys get 2 guns to play with in this demo world. I'm not going to lower the player count because that's not the purpose of this world. This world is not to be a shooting. Well, it might be, but not with arena clash guns. Oh yeah, because each of those things is animated too. Yeah, there's so many stupid animations in here. I'm sorry. And play. But if you want to come in here by yourself with 2 arena clash pistols and jump around, oh, let's go. There should be a way to track my score. Oh. Oh yeah. Okay. This has got some potential. Now this really just needs a These things need to be way bigger. These targets are too small for this map. Oh, and I'm looking at the wrong dot. No wonder. Oh, yeah, I guess I'm better with just 1 gun. What happens if I leave that there? Does it return? Yeah, it does, because that's what that base is there, I believe. That's what that is. All right. Okay, so now we need a point system because obvi. Oh, this is way too good. Oh, that is way too addicting. It looks like one of them did respawn, and this one should respawn after a few seconds. I'm okay with this. I don't care that you guys' scripts are full of bugs. I'm not even going to worry about it. I just want to go and make sure it adds points to a player persistent variable because now this game's addicting. Oh my goodness. This is terrible. World, systems, player variables, create variable called all time. And save. And then what we're going to do is create a leaderboard variable called AT for all time, create cool beans. And then what we need to do is go into the shooty script over here, square target, hit by arrow. Not sure if we need to worry about that. This is the one I think that we need. And then what we want to look at is where it says the number for points. So right here, you can see it's displaying points on text. So it looks like you just get 200. But it's this is so silly. It's using a set of if statements. This is such a silly way to script. There are definitely better ways to do this, but this is okay because I'm way cooler than Meta. Sorry, Meta. So what we're going to do is start by setting a variable, a number variable. Yeah, should I just make their script more efficient? Why not? Like, why not? Number called current value. Why not make their script better while I shouldn't bash them, but they're too easy. It's too easy to bash them. So then we just drag current value into here, and then current value goes into here, and then we drag this to the bottom of the stack of ifs, and then drag this to the bottom of the stack of ifs, and we can then delete all of the other ones and replace it with this set current value to whatever the current value is. Like, look how much more efficient that is, and it's so much easier to like modify the script. Boom, and undo. I messed that up. 50 goes there. This one gets deleted. There we go. Okay, so that's fixed this. Now we can easily set their player persistent variable. So what we need to know is a new number value called current score. So this allows us to dynamically change this and only have to set it one time, which is very efficient. You can see I love efficiency. So we're going to set current score to be that value added to whatever their current score is. So we go and get player persistent variable, and we can get the all-time for, do we have the player listed in here somewhere? Transfer ownership of self to the player. So we should be able to get owner of, hit by bullet vector. Dun, 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 dun. We don't have any good information in here. Position of self. We don't know when this ownership transfer is happening, but send hit to self, hit by arrow. Dun 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 dun. This is so bad. This script has been deprecated in a way that actually breaks it. Yeah, I should probably fix it for them. Set object visibility to true for score group and delete. And then wherever score group was getting set to true, there we go. This one works still. That one like was deprecated in a way that it still works. I'm trying to see if they're ever using owner of self, because I don't. Oh, I need to fix this. Set object visibility to false for score group. There we go. And I don't know. Oh, this is so intoxicating. Hit by bullet. Hit by bullet. Who is sending hit by bullet? Hit by bullet is received with a vector value. We know this is working because the numbers were appearing. Are we changing the size of that? We're not. So when I make it bigger, it should just be bigger. That's the good news. The problem is their math here is fixed. So like this doesn't scale. Yeah, this does not scale. So these points are not relative percentages. They're just like, I should really rewrite their script. Like it's not even that difficult to do. Set current score. I need to figure out where this hit event is coming from. When world is started, hide. We'll go fix that real quick. Set object visibility, score group to false, and delete. Set origin position, set origin scale. Look at, they even saved the scale for us already. Set is hit ready to true, set owner. Oh, I really wish I knew where this event was coming from. I want to assume that we do receive this event and therefore we can use owner of self. Is this script local by some weirdness? No, it's default. Okay, so yeah, we should be fine. None of this is going to mess us up. So owner of might work. Set current score to be owner of self plus the current value. Current value. And with that, we've now increased, we've set the value that we're going to increase their score to, and then we go to the values tab to set their player persistent variable. We also need to set their world leaderboard variable. So we're going to go select all time and AT. This is for the owner of self. And if this doesn't work, it's not a big deal because we're going to go find out where this event is coming from and then attach the player pill to it so that it's received with that information. Force. Sure, we'll force it. It doesn't really matter. We'll force it anyway. Okay, so that should work. And the way we can test to see if this is just working by default is by creating a achievement board gizmo, just pulling one out. Let's see. World leaderboard. Sorry, not achievement. Always mix those two up. There we go. We'll put this on the back wall here. Set the player count to 10 so it's bigger. And we'll call this all-time score. There we go. Nice. Now let's center this on this object here, then slide it down a little bit. It's more at eye height. Nice. Now what we can do is decide that I'd actually would like to have more of these guns. So we're going to duplicate these guys. And unfortunately, I do need to select these out here for the duplication. I know this is gross. This is gross. Don't recommend doing this, but I'm doing it. And then array tool. Yeah, it should work. What happened to the extra one up here? It's weird. And then I know we're over capacity, but I'm not concerned because I'm going to drop the player count because I think this is way too much fun to keep away from the people. Don't keep it away from the people. They need this game mechanic. Okay. Oh no, I've deselected this. Select all of this. Okay. There we go. In fact, delete this. I don't care. Ah, no, don't delete it. Oh, I can do it. We're gonna set this over here along this wall. That's kind of nice. That's a nice symmetry right there. I'm pretty happy with that. Some weird audio boxes that I accidentally copied from the other one. My bad. So slide this down until that audio box is in the right position. Yo, identical. The only problem is now we have two audio boxes in the same position. It shouldn't really matter because they're going to be teleporting them around anyway. So I'm just going to not even worry about it. Like I said, this is one of those things like where I said earlier, sometimes you just make stuff so fast that it's not very good. Shouldn't do that, but hey, yo, it's okay. So we're going to snap this to the top of that. And now, ooh, that's weird. I somehow messed this up in a way that I didn't expect. I'm not sure how I did that. Okay, got all the invisible cubes lined up. Does appear to be lined up right. If I come in, can I even grab those? I can. Perfect. That is fantastic. What we should also do, while I'm thinking about it, is go into our cube. Oh, but I can't pull anything out because of world capacity. How much are we over? Probably not by much. 30 capacity. Okay, quite a bit. Jeez, those guns are so expensive. They're so stupid expensive. Why are they so expensive? Capacity's at 102%. Sure, 24, what the heck. I'm going to delete a couple of these anyway, because we only want one for when I have to fix some of this stuff. You'll see in a moment. And delete. Okay. Should only be this one left over here. Select. We're not going to increase the size of it just yet because you'll remember that the way they were doing the score was calculated using the scale of its current self, and we want to use it dynamically, so we'll fix that in a minute. All I want to do right now is see if it's working. Oh, and I wanted to add that cube for light because there wasn't enough light in this area, so I was going to go grab a glow white. Come on, white glow. And then properties, turn visibility off, turn collidability off, turn light and shadow on, and then bring this into here, which should put off a decent amount of light. Nice, that looks much better. We'll center that on here and then slide it up so it's even across the whole room. Looks good. Oh, that looks really good on these too. Nice. Now, what am I missing? I really wanted to move this into the back, so I'm just going to slide this until it's in that. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing with this. And then I want to go down. Yep, that's good. Over. Good. Okay, I like that better. Looks nice. There's like this one other thing I kind of wanted to do, which was going to be annoying to script, but I will fix it. So this is where we have Firing controller, weapon spawn, gizmo, projectile. Okay, so this is the projectile that hits the player. And so when the object hits, we say when projectile hits player, this is what I want to do. This exploding thing is cool. Oh, no, it's not only does if it's an explosion. Send do damage haptics to self with player. Okay, so do damage haptics to self with player in position might be something worth looking at, because what I would like to do is respawn the player if they get hit, which is super duper easy to do. When projectile hits interactive object, we send hit by bullet to the object with position. Doesn't look like we're sending. Doesn't look like we're sending the player. So we know that the player who owns the object that they were hit by, or no, we want to give the point to the player who fired. And so this would be the owner of self. So let's go actions tab and send owner of self as a variable, just in case that isn't, sorry, not owner of self. Send owner of self as a variable to the object, which then is received on the square target as a player ID parameter, which we can then just use, which is so much easier. So go to player ID and type in plid, PLID for player ID, confirm, and then replace all of the owner of self spots down there at the bottom with this. And that goes here. Owner of self, and owner of self. There we go. Okay, fixed that. So that's nice. That's like pretty much guaranteed to work now. There's the scale issue that I need to get to. The respawning of the player isn't that hard to do. So what I wanted to do is say when projectile hits player, let's create a controller. So we send hit by bullet to object. We're going to duplicate this up into the hit by player. So when projectile hits player, we're going to send hit by bullet to the player with the position, the owner of self, and the player hit. So then what I'm going to do is duplicate this square target script, rename this, and call this player hit respawner. So plid hit respawn. And now this control object is going to receive all of these hit by player events when a player, by listening to a player. And we can do that by scrolling down and saying when player enters world. So let's find the player events. When player enters the world, we can just grab listen to events. And now we will receive events from players. So now we are going to receive this hit by bullet event, but you'll remember it comes with a second player ID, which is the plid hit. So we'll go ahead and call this one plid hit. And the main reason I duplicated this script was not so we could use this, but so that we could use all of the stuff below this. So, nope, undo that. We need to keep some of this stuff out of the, let's just start deleting the smaller ifs until we get to it. What we're trying to do is get this current value. So set current score, set all time, set AT, and then tell the player that they've received some points. And so we're going to delete all of this. There's so much of this that we don't really need. I'm just going to go and delete all of this. Delete this, delete this, delete this, delete this. Okay, so this is all it's doing, but I just wanted to keep this score setting stuff that we did before. And then we need to know a respawn point. So let's delete all of this stuff that we don't need. Hopefully I didn't delete anything important yet. Position. Okay, what we want to save is an object variable called spawn. So this is going to respawn the player to the world spawn. So click confirm. And so we want to go is to motion tab, player motion. Did I inadvertently build an entire minigame? I did. It was an accident, I swear. So respawn player hit to spawn point, set current score to all time plus whatever current value is. We didn't set current value. we're just going to say players are worth like, I don't know, 10 points? Are they worth more points? Are they worth 50 points? I mean, they're worth 25. Sure, that seems fine. And then what we want to know is, so that's the current value that they're worth, set current score to plus that. And then we want to tell the player that they received that. So to tell a player, we go to Actions tab, scroll down to Show Pop-up for Player. And so we just want to tell the player that they got some points. So we're going to go show a pop-up for the player ID with the text, display it for 3 seconds. We're going to use the position of minus 0.5 is my favorite position, minus 0.25, so it's unobtrusive. And then the size I like is 2, and the color we've been using in our worlds has been black and blue. So we'll set this to 0, backspace, backspace, and then this one we do at 0.4, 0.7, and that's the blue we've been using. And then we don't show the timer. And that will then allow us to do one last thing, which is we go to our operators tab, grab some plus symbols. We want to display 4 things. And so we're going to type into this first box plus, and then the amount. So we're just going to type in plus, and then the amount is a variable as string. Get variable as string for current value. So that's how much they just gained. And then our second string is a break, which tells them they're all time. And then so we say current, so it's current score colon space, and then drag another as string into here, but with their current score. And voila, we've now given them a really cool text pop-up to tell them what their score is. And we just need to run this on an object. So I'm going to bring this probably over here, since this is part of the game mechanic. We're going to use a sound recorder gizmo, since they take up no space in the world, except for one object, which is almost nothing. Whereas like a cube takes up geometry, or a pyramid takes up geometry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now we just need to attach the plid hit respawn script. There it is. And we do need to reference the spawn point. I should double check that the script has the spawn in it. I'm pretty sure it does. Then drag that into here, close this, open this, close this, check this, and it does say respawn plid hit to spawn point. Okay, cool. So now we got a player attacking minigame built into this, although you can hit yourself, which is problematic. So might have to fix that. So we go in here, and let's go ahead and just target practice. Nice. Okay, so we hit the points. My all-time score should appear any second. Should appear any second. Didn't seem to appear. Let's go find out why. We scroll to the bottom. Event set grab state ignored. The script is not running locally. Doesn't appear to have any issues. Let's go check what script is actually running on here, because maybe it's not running the script I think it's running. It's running the square target script, and it's running square target, which is the script that we engaged with. So let's go to the square target script over here. Let's double check the names of these events are correct. Hit by bullet is received, and over here on Gizmo projectile, we are sending hit by bullet to the player. We're also sending hit by bullet to the object with position and a player ID. So that is correct. It says if object is not equal to source weapon. Got it. That makes sense. And the other thing that I was thinking we should do in here, which is unfortunate that I have to do this now since it's used in both the script and the copy, is I would like to do that pop-up again. So I'm just going to recreate that pop-up one more time. I'm getting pretty good at it. Show pop-up for player, which is the player ID. Oh my goodness, undo. I want just the player pill. What? Oh my goodness gracious. There we go. Okay. And this one, we're also going to use that plus symbol in, so drag that over, and then we could do the exact same thing, but this time I'm just going to do a much simpler plus current. So we'll just do a plus. It'll just be a really simple plus and then variable as string, which we actually have right here. Boom. And for 5 seconds, no, we're only going to do this for 2 seconds. And then same values as before, minus 0.5, minus 0.25, font size of 2, color of black, that's backspace, backspace, and backspace. And then up here, we're going to go 0.4, 0.7. And like that, we've already fixed it up, so that's good. Turn off the timer. Nice. Okay, so now the player will receive that information when they're hit. And I kind of want to debug print because I'm like, is this even working? Is hit ready? Is set to true on world start? I guess everything looks like it should be good. Script and play. Go into the world. Grab a gun. And... oh, I got the points. It says plus 200. But my all-time score isn't linked in because I probably forgot to do the really important thing of telling this to display the @ score, didn't I? Yep, you have to drop down, select @. Oh my gosh, I'm so silly. There we go, look at that. I'm already at 250. Fan-freaking-tastic. Let's go. Okay, so now that this game is getting really intense, the only thing left to do is to fix this score up so that the points are better. Oh, don't do that. So let's go stop world. Clear. And what we want to do is make this target way bigger. The only problem is you don't get points. I don't know what to do about it. I'm just like, I don't know what to do, man. So that's a massive target. That is way too big. Select it, turn it down. Turn down for what? It's too big, bro. So come in and check that out. Ah, that's totally a good size. We'll go and do as many of these as we can until we hit capacity. So we'll do one on the opposite side. We'll do one in this corner. We'll do one in this corner. So those are definitely worth the most points, but if you're playing with a bunch of people, that's going to be hard. But let's go and try it out. Boom. 50 points. You know what? I might be okay with this. Oh, what the heck? Why didn't I hit the bounce? Oh, I hit the respawn though. Weird. Got it. Got it. Bounce me. There we go. Okay. Bouncing. Nice. Nice. Are they only moving to the same position? It doesn't feel like they're moving by much. I think I need to adjust the amount that they can move by because, yeah, they're just basically reappearing in the same position and we want them to move around a lot. So stop. Clear. And scroll on over to our square target. I believe there's a value in here where we can just change the radius. Random position scale. Probably change this to like 12. We'll try that first. I'm okay with the current points. You're only going to get these higher points if you like really hit the center. I don't know if I'm okay with that, but I am okay with that because you're going to be like, wait, I just got a 200. And you'll be like, yeah, because you hit it actually in a bullseye. So I think that's okay. Although we might consider adding... no, we're not going to worry about this. Yeah, we're not going to worry about this. This is good. Okay, so script. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to change and test, which is shooting yourself in the face. So. Oh, it doesn't seem to allow me to hit myself. So I guess I don't need to... I was going to write some script for this, but since apparently it doesn't work, I really need a tester to help test that. Let's check our world capacity real quick. Capacity's at 96. Bro, we could add more. Or we could add more guns, or we could add more of those, or we could just... I don't know. I'm getting excited. Okay, bounce. Plus 50. Plus 50. Plus 50. Bouncing. Plus 50. The location of these seems like it's changing decently. Let's watch this one. And then it reappears. Oh, that's in the same position. Come on. That's in the same position. What the heck? I thought that was going to move. I think maybe I have to write the movement in. Weird that I'm falling through the trigger. I'm not getting respawn. I think that's just a bug in build mode where the triggers aren't working super well. That's my guess. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking they removed that from the script for this thing. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think they removed the motion from the script because I don't see it being used anywhere. Like, let's just quickly check. When it is received, origin scale times 0.1. Doesn't appear to be even using the numbers. Oh, use random move. Oh, there's a Boolean for use random move. Oh, it's on. Use random move is set to true. -1 times random position scale. This is the other way to do it rather than doing the absolute value, which is the way I like. But anyway, both methods work. Yeah, that should have worked. When reset is received, send reset to self after point. Ow, I just stabbed myself, that hurt. Ow. Set is hit ready to true. Why is that not working? Move self to this position, origin position plus that. What? Why is that not working? I set the value. Ooh. Random position scale I set to 12. Was it set on the object itself so it's not accepting defaults? No, it did. It did accept a default. Let's go and scroll in here. I am almost an hour over the time that I want to be done, so I am going to wrap, I promise. I just thought I'd add something really quick and easy, because that's me. Move, hide, sound effects to position of self, play, hide visual effects, send reset to self. When hit is received, move, send reset from player. I guess it's using a different reset. No, it sends hide to self and then it sends reset. Should be resetting. Should be moving. Let's go hit play and just try to watch it from a static perspective. Let's shoot from right here. Take a look at that. No, that is not moving. There is no chance that that is moving. Oh, is it set on the object itself to be off? This is once again one of those things where like you'd think that you could set it from the script, but if somebody goes on to here and changes the Boolean, then it doesn't actually affect the other ones. Use random move is set to off. But if I click on this, it somebody did that. And now I'm fixing it. Okay. Nope, wrong button. This one. There we go. 2 more. Let's go. That is so funny. Meta would do that. Sorry, I'm just teasing. I tease Meta a lot because of simple stuff like this is probably throwing off hundreds of creators who've pulled this out and they're like, why is it not working? And they might not even ever figure it out because it's like so crazy. Like I know when I was working on this, I decided instead of like trying to fix it and make it work, I just wrote an entire brand new set of code for it. Whoops. I didn't even look to see. I was just like, oh, they just removed it. Silly me. That's a mistake. I'm not infallible either. So like as much as I tease, you know, I'm not perfect as well. Attributes, scale is set to 4. Let's set this to 12. Basically, I'm grabbing a measuring stick real quick so that I can measure to make sure that these things are not too close to the wall, that they're going to get stuck in the wall, which they totally are. So I'm going to actually set it to be half the distance that it currently is. I think at half the distance, it'll be totally safe. And checking the rest of these. Yep, half the distance will be safe. This one's like cutting it close. Okay, we're going to pull this one in just a little bit. This one's going to be pulled over just a hair. Okay. So now we'll go back into our script under square target and change the default value from 12 down to 6, which will now actually make sense. It won't be anything else. Okay, and let's try it out. So grabbing guns, jumping, boom, and moving. Nice, nice, love that. Okay, this is great. Oh, it's so weird. I keep crossing my guns and I can't tell. Like, I guess I just really need just one because like I'm pretty good at one. I really want to get that bullseye, and it's really frustrating that hitting it in the center doesn't give you the bullseye. We have to fix this. We have to fix this. It's our duty. It's our duty as scripting champions of Horizon. Whatever that means. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Okay. Oh, this is way too good. This is amazing. This is amazing. We've built something quite spectacular. Okay, I'm already at 2,000, which is totally embarrassing, but not bad. The square target needs to know the scale of itself. Okay, so we know that values can range between 200 and 50. And so what we want to do is find out how big is self, right? So we have the origin scale here. Let's just quickly debug print the origin scale. And what we should get is some information. The information we get is that debug printing is at 3.87. Okay, about 4. That's totally fair. We can work with that. So I'm just trying to imagine this number right off the start, like right off the start of my brain. It's like, okay, we got 3.87. That's our scale. So now what we want to do is check the distance that this is and set the current value to be based on that distance. And so to do that, we're going to grab set current value to 200. And instead of setting it to 200, we're going to do something else. I'm going to leave the 200 there, and I'm going to leave a 50 here to remind me that these are the two values we're working with. And then what we're going to do is grab the distance. We're going to need to add something. We're going to do some multiplying. Like I can see the formula in my head. I know we're adding 50 at the very end. I know we're going to be multiplying by 150. And I know I've got the math on this just a little bit backwards. It's actually divide by 150, isn't it? And so I'll explain it as soon as I'm done. I'm just so close. You take 150, put it over here, no, over here. And you got to see how close does it get to 0? Can't be 0. It'll never be 0. But if it's 1 divided by 100, 0.00. So if you had, say you have this at, sorry, my brain, give it a second. We need another divide symbol in here. And then what we're dividing by is the distance. So we need to get the y of the scale. So origin scale, we get the y of the origin scale. We take this distance that's calculated right here. This is the magnitude of the position of self minus vector. And the vector is this value that's coming in. And so that distance is how far it is, which is telling us exactly where it's at between those positions. So it's a number value in meters telling it how far away that it is from the center. So this value is almost 4. So imagine it's 4. So you imagine you hit at the very edge. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, so this is the opposite of what we need. So let's grab and drag this down here. Let's drag this down here because I can see it, but I'm almost there. When it's in the center, it equals 0. And we want to say that 0 is 1. And so I think we take -1. Oh, it's like almost there. So if we know the value we know that the value of this magnitude divided by the y, we know that this value will always be between 0 and 1 because it's somewhere on that scale. And that's how we want to determine that scale. And then between 0 and 1, it was multiply. No, but it is multiply, but I can see why I thought it was divide. So then this value needs to be inverted. So because 1 needs to be 0 and 0 needs to become 1, and to flip it around, the easiest way is to grab the absolute value of this minus 1. So the absolute value takes a negative value and converts it to positive. So if you had a bullseye, it would become from 0 to be -1, and then absolute value makes it positive. And if you had the furthest reaches, which would be 1, that would become 0, which would stay 0. And so we do -1. And now our math works out correctly. And I'll walk us through it one more time now that I'm finished yammering on. Okay, so we're setting the current value, which is the score. And to do that, we know that the base score is 50, which is why we always start with 50. Then we add to it with a value going up to 150 because the max score is 200. Now we don't want to have decimal places in this, so I need to do one more thing where we set current score to be the ceiling of current value. This means if you were to get 150, it would actually be 149. 99 or something like that. So this ceiling will bring it up to 150 because it's pretty much impossible to get 0. I think it probably is impossible to get 0. So anyway, that's that. And that should do the trick. So now, because of this, we have the color setting, which is so silly. We want to set this text display color based off of this same value, which I'll show you in a second. Now that we've set current value, we don't need any of these ifs. We do want the colors to range where if this value, let's actually break this into a multitude of scripts here. So I'm going to break this up into a few different parts. So the 50 plus will go at the very end. 50 plus, actually, yeah, 50 plus this one where we multiply by 150. That goes into here, but then we replace this one because this is going to be a number between 0 and 1, this absolute value. So this is what we want to put here. And then current value goes here, and we delete this. So what I've done is I've broken this into 3 steps. So we set the current value to be the absolute value. So this makes it a value between 0 and 1. And then this makes it an actual point value. And then we take the ceiling of that. And so when it's a decimal place, we can then set the color to be a hue or a value. And so what we're going to do is increase the brightness of the red value by going to create a new color from XYZ. So if you scroll down, or RGB, except for we don't want it to actually be RGB. We want it to be HSV. So we convert an HSV to an RGB. Then we can plug the new color from RGB in there. We know that we want the color to be red. Red is either 0 or 1. So if we put a 0 in, it's the very first hue. So this is hue, saturation, value. We know that we want the value to be always 100%. And then the saturation is what we're going to change with the current value. So if you get a really bad shot, it'll be white. But if you get a really good shot, it'll be red. And so that is how we're going to set that. And we can actually set red since we're using it in 2 places. So set red to be this value and then use it here and there. Perfect. Okay, that is done. I've completely fixed their script in my opinion. Can you create a wheel similar to The Price is Right where you can actually grab it with 2 hands and spin it? I believe that exists. Let me find it for you in just a second. Just checking our time here because I am about an hour over with the time that I wanted to go. But I'm really, really happy with this script here. So with this setup, we should now have a much better scoring system in place. So we're going to go ahead and grab our guns, just going to grab one actually, and shoot. There, 104. Got 104. So now if I hit the bullseye, 140. Okay, 200 is the max, remember. 101, 120, 100, 59. I got a really bad score there. Oh, 95. Reset. Let's see, can I hit 137. I want to see if I can hit the 200. And it is really finicky on that center. You know why it's finicky? I'll tell you why. I know why. I'm going to do a change here that's going to make it possible to get 200. And then we're going to make some adjustments to this because I think the scoring is way too high right now. So what I want to do in our square target is make it so the base score is 10 and the score you're getting is 40. Maybe the base score is 1 and you can get up to 50, so 49. Oh, I want to go to 100. So it's 100 would be a perfect bullseye. Okay. So we'll do 10 and 90. I think that's fair. 10 and 90. So 10 is a minimum, 100 would be the maximum. And then the one thing I wanted to change in here was that the magnitude of this position of self minus vector minus 1 is missing something. Wait, is there a piece of the script missing? We were supposed to be getting the y of... Why is that not here? Where did that go? Why am I losing my brain? We should have been getting the y of a vector. Why aren't we doing that? Magnitude of the position of self minus the position of vector. Ah, well, that would be part of the problem. For some reason, we lost the divide symbol that was in here. I was dragging a lot of stuff around. It's really easy to replace stuff. So I'm just going to subtract this magnitude of. This is supposed to be a division of, and I'm pretty sure I can do something really fancy in here. So we're going to grab this magnitude of, put it here, delete this copy one here, duplicate magnitude into this one, delete what's inside of the magnitude of, and then we're going to get the magnitude of the origin scale. It's a bad idea. That is such a bad idea. Well, we'll try it out. And when it doesn't work, we could just eyeball it, but then we're just as bad as they are. Sorry. Just like, oh, let's do good. Let's do good. Okay, back into the game. Okay, so if I shoot this and get a bullseye, the max is 100. This is going to go to like 150. I almost 95. Oh, that was awesome. That was way better than I thought. 90. Can I even get higher than that? 92? No, there's no way to get higher than 100. Maybe this is perfect. I kind of want it to be possible to get 100, but maybe, I don't know. And that is so good. So if I hit the edge, how is the edge? Let's see if I hit a blue. Hit the blue. 81. Oh, that is a problem. That is a big problem. The edge is worth just as much as the center. That is a problem. Okay, thinking about this, why isn't that working? And the edge should be worth 10. And I guess it's because the division is wrong, which I was aware of, but I wasn't aware how it was going to affect it. Let me think about it in my head and try to imagine it. Oh, I see. Okay, so this should be a value. This is the distance between the position hit and, so this is the position hit and the position of self, which, why isn't it using the origin position? It saved it on world start. Why isn't it? Oh, because it's constantly changing, that's why. Which, didn't we save that as a value? No, we did that in a different script. Okay. So position of self minus the vector gives us the distance between there and there, which we know can range between, oh, that's it. It can range between 0 and 2 because the width of it is only 4 meters. But is that even accurate? Because this is probably not measured correctly. Like, why would I assume that they would have measured this so that the scale would actually measure correctly when using it? My mistake. Let go. This is measuring 3 meters. Okay, that's not terribly far off. It's not terribly far off. So 3 meters. 3 meters. Where's the script over here? Let's just do the math using numbers we actually are aware of. So we know that the value could range between 0 and 1.5 and 0. And so if we divide that by 1.5, if you're 1.5 away, then it's 1, which is why we subtract 1 to get it to 0. And if it's really close, then it's 0. So we're going to divide by 1.5. What just happened? I hate when that happens. Number input into the B spot. Divide by 1.5. My concern is that the distance will always be off by just a hair because there's the thickness of it. And so you won't ever be able to get an actual 100, which I wanted to try and adjust by subtracting this 1 by slightly more because we know the distance will always be slightly larger. There's some other ways we could do that. Really do enjoy math. Okay, and 66. Okay, but now if I hit the edge, it's a 30. Okay. The lowest I can get is basically a 30. Oh, I hit an 11. Okay. That makes me feel better. Okay, so you can definitely get less than, you can basically get a 10, but I can't get the bullseye to hit correctly. Not really getting that was a pretty decent shot. But yeah, it's that, the problem is there's what we can calculate now that we know the numbers. 72 seems to be the highest I'm able to hit. Okay. 69, nice. 71, 70, 72. So we need to like add 30 to all these scores. Am I okay with the values ranging between 40? No, I'm not. Okay, so we need to add 30. We need to add 0.3. How can we add 0.3 mathematically? We need to change this to be 0.3. 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. I think I just want to guess and check. I know that sounds really bad. I could do the math. Let's see. 0.3 is a 30% increase. So we need to multiply it by 1.33. And that would scale a 10 to 13. 1.35. Set. No, that's not right because you'd have 70. You need to be 30, which would be 0.4. Yeah, multiply by 0.4. Okay, so let's try and then subtract a very small number. So and then we'll do one more of these at the very end. Okay, so we're going to take the current value, multiply it by 1.4, which should give us a pretty decent value. So 1.4. And then we want to subtract, actually I want to do 1.45. And then we want to subtract to get us down to those smaller numbers. Subtract 0.1 or 0.05. We'll try 0.05 for now. And then this is to get our 10. So we've multiplied by 1.45. So a 10 comes through and it becomes 15. And so we want to subtract 5 to get it back down to 10. It's the idea at least. And so then we can set current value to be a clamp. And so we want to clamp our value that we have. So clamp the current value to be somewhere between 0 and 1. And that should keep the values between the range of 0 and 1, which is actually very important for the coloring that we're doing on these. So stop and play. Let's try it out. And grab and shoot. 88. Very nice. 51 on the edge. Let's try hitting the cursor edge. 44. 38. Can I get any worse than that? Oh, there's an 11. That's pretty good. I'm happy with an 11. 89. Not bad. Can I get a 98? Can I even hit 100? Is it possible? We've got a clamp on there, so it would actually hit 100 and go over. 96. Ooh, I feel like 100 could be possible. This is so cool. Oh, 100! There it is! Okay, so it's possible. Oh, shoot. Now try doing it in motion. And I'm going to hit my head on this thing. Get back in the center of my circle. Okay. Ooh, 99 while in motion? That's crazy! 94, not bad. 54, that's pretty bad. I gotta fix my hand glitch. Oh, 100 while in motion. I am very, very happy with this. This is a great mini game, even by yourself. This is amazing. Okay. The only way to get back, though, is via over here. So I should probably fix that to be better. My score is already at a ridiculous 79.89, but I am happy with that. Oh, that is so cool. So cool. And don't worry, I'm still thinking about your question, focal, trifocal. So thank you for asking. I'm just trying to wrap this up. Whew. So with that all set up, stop, clear, go to the world. Player settings is at 24, but we've got 96%. So we could create some more guns. We know that this gun down here is the best gun to duplicate. And my only concern is I need to know which one of those it's referenced to. You know what? I'm okay with 8 guns. It's okay. This isn't necessarily always a shooting game. It's definitely a shooting game. Can I pull out better guns? I can't. I need these things on them, and I want to check which one is this referenced to. Come on, open up for me. Keo? You trying to say hi? You can say hi if you'd like. So this one is referenced to the top one there. Okay, so we're going to duplicate the top one. And I know this is cursed. Okay, I do know that this is a cursed way of doing this. I don't know why I didn't fix this earlier on, but it is what it is. And I'm committed to doing things the wrong way now. Okay, duplicate, and we're going upwards. And we're going to just slide that out of this area and over. And then let's duplicate over this way. 2, 3, 4. Then maybe do 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, another 8 guns, which is definitely putting us over capacity, but I do not care. It's okay. I have a way to fix that in just a moment. What we need to do is slide this over to the left, try to line them up. It's weird that that one's not visible. It's got to be just a visual bug. Selecting that. No, we're not selecting that. We're going to deselect that. We're going to slide this up and over, so it's on top of those. Weird that this isn't letting me snap to the right spot, but I guess that's close enough. And then let's go. Oh, I see where it went. It's over there. Oh, silly gun. Get back into your position. Go like right there, I believe. Close enough. Okay. Now select all of them. Make sure they're all selected. And now we're going to try and place these like here. Just so many of these. This is ridiculous. Just all over the place. This is a total utter mess. Just like, come and grab one. Doesn't matter. Just take a gun. Okay. So now we have 4, 8, 16. We had it set at 24 players, but I'm okay with lowering it to 20 or whatever. Like, meta guns aren't the most optimized thing in the world. Sorry to say. Maybe we have to actually go to 16. Is that ridiculous? It's ridiculous, but it's true. We got to go to 16. Yeah, these things are so not optimized. There's so much stuff and junk in them. In fact, I think the better methodology here is to actually delete these things because these are actually worth a decent amount and we don't really need them. What's our capacity at now? 16 and capacity says 102%. Okay, let's go and delete center jumpy one. You were our first portion, but you're gone now. Let's delete this whole bottom row. It's okay. The world will not complain because there's less bouncers. Well, maybe they will. Do we need the less we don't need bouncers. These are fine. Delete. We have plenty of little bouncers in there. It's totally fine. And now we're at a reasonable 100% capacity. Fantastic. Which is actually not true because once these visual effects elements take up capacity again, this world's going to go way over. But we got 16 guns. We got 16 players. This is a fantastic experience. Infinite Shooty Folly demo. Shooty Folly. I'm not even going to call it demo. I'm just going to call it it's done. Come on. Infinite Shooty Folly. Such a terrible name. Infinite Shooty Folly Bouncy. Okay. Infinite Shooty Folly Bouncy. Have fun. Okay, this needs some new pictures. And didn't we get crashed at one point? But did we get crashed before or after we took the picture? You're up so late. Is it late? Oh my gosh, it's midnight. And I was planning to be off an hour and 11 minutes ago. I'm so terrible. That's Horizon, isn't it? Like you lose track of time. It's a lot of fun. You enjoy what you're doing. Yeah, it is. Okay, swap the picture, turn it around, and snappy. Okay, new photo taken, although I kind of want the color to be different. Stop, play world, jump in, take the picture one more time on that platform. One more time. Oh no, my hands just died. Oh, goodness gracious, my hands are dead. Oh, this happened to me earlier, and then I crashed, right? Can I take the picture if I open my menu up this way? Can I still pull out my camera and take the picture? Oh, no. No, because it closes the menu. Oh, when the menu is open, I can use my hands. But I can't use them either. Okay, if I go to my menu here, go back into Horizon. No, go into build mode. Go back into Horizon. Oh, okay, my hands are working again. Okay, try this again. Switch, rotate, picture mode. Like, take the picture as fast as possible and get out of here. Although I want the color to be good. Okay, it's going to go from orange. So it goes red, orange, yellow, green, blue. I want the blue to purple to pink tones. Whew. Okay, that's about as bad as it was before. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Let it get to get through the yellow. These brown tones are not my favorite. More like tan, beige, I guess. Now it's turning into the green. So it's like slowly fading through the hue cycle. Okay, so the question is, can you create a wheel similar to Price is Right? Unfortunately, I've never seen Price is Right. I know, I'm sorry. But a spinning wheel that you can grab with two hands and spin it with one hand for sure. I don't know about the two-handed grab. And ooh, that kind of like green and purple there isn't bad. Take one of those. But if you go into your asset library and just search for wheel, they've got a wheel you can grab and spin. Or maybe it's not even grabbing. It might be a like you put your hand on it and spin it, which reminds me that I wanted to remove. Ooh, that's kind of a cool color too. Let's keep going. Kind of wanted to get to a blue, purple tone. You might just have to like hit it with your hands. I've been noticing my hands have been colliding with the gun, which is really annoying. So I was going to go turn that off. Ooh, we're getting to kind of a spacey tone here. See if we can match that with a nice vibrant green on that little LED over there. There it goes. Ooh, now we're entering blues. And we might just try taking the picture right as it matches up. 3, 2, and see if we can get a little bit more in there. Not bad, as that's going to turn to pink over here in just a quick moment. And this is going to fade into purple here. Let's go. I'm like, I don't know which color I like. There's too many options to choose from. Okay, now we're getting to the purples. Have you seen that focal trifocals? Have you seen the thing that I'm talking about? I love that. I think that's the color I'm gonna go with. Although I might wait for it to get pink. Yeah, we're gonna go with that one. Okay. Hopefully this is loaded for us. Select photo. Yo, it did. Confirm. There we go. Good stuff. Have fun. Exclamation point, please. Like, show some enthusiasm. I think I'm done. Just delete. Wait for it to save on my hand. Close the menu. Reopen the menu. Acknowledge everyone. Publish. Been doing a double publish recently. Infinite shooty bouncy. Saving. See, it like starts saving while you're publishing, but then the publishing happens somehow before the save is completed, and the last thing you do sometimes doesn't get saved. So that's why I've been hitting publish twice. Infinite shooty folly bouncy. This is such a silly world. Such a silly world. So if you guys are online, come and join me. Would love to show this off. And I'm not hearing from Focal Trifocal, so I'm afraid he's probably already bounced. I don't even know. Like, we might even have some tutorials on the other channel, because we've made a wheel like that in the past for our game show way back when. But just to really quickly show you the asset, if you just search for wheel, and we should get one. Of course, they've got all these silly assets. Ah, there it is. Free spinning wheel. There it is. Looks like there's a spring wheel, but this is the type that you're looking for. And so you just set that here. You can imagine it being in a different orientation. When you walk up to it, you can then spin it, and it spins just like you'd expect. You can't grab it per se, but you can definitely like hit it and get a good spin. It returns a number value, which you can then translate to whatever you want. And I'm just going to hit undo and delete that. And delete that. Okay, there we go. So I'm heading into the published world. If you want to come check it out with me, I'll invite some peeps when I get there. Like and save and visit world. Oh, this is a pretty cool world. So if you've just joined us, in 3 hours, not too bad, 3 hours 17, we've built a world with infinite falling, a lot of shooty, a lot of folly, a lot of bouncy, and I love that it fills up the entire thing. It's not cut off like the other one is, which I'm like thinking about changing the name just because it's getting cut off on Bubble Wrap Popping Challenge, as much as I love the name. Okay, here we are. Let's, oh, the scores didn't show up. Why didn't the scores? Oh, because you have to just like switch back and forth. I forgot. Silly thing. Okay. Let's go to the people tab. See who's online and wants to try a new thing out. Oh, Euphoria's online. Bro, love this guy. No, like homo, no homo, or maybe a little homo. Just kidding, I think. Let's see. We'll just invite everybody. Yeah, the video account doesn't have nearly as many friends and followers. So I'm just gonna send out some invites. People be like, "What the heck, man? This is crazy." Up too late's online. Oh my goodness. I have a feeling she's probably busy, but maybe she'll stop by. A lot of people I don't know, not very well at least. See me, bro. I don't see you. I don't see you. Oh, hey, Euphoria. Dude, thanks for stopping by. Can you hear me, Euphoria?
What do we got going on here?
Oh, isn't this cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice shirt. Super new.
Invite.
So this is a brand new world I built over the last 3 hours, just for funsies, to do like a little live stream. I'm actually streaming right now, just FYI. And awesome. I thought I'd demo it. It's got 16 spots. We've got 16 guns, so grab 1 gun per person. I'm just sending out 2 more invites. The last 2 people on my friends list. And then we're going to give it a quick test, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. So it's got some really fun craziness. Let's see, last invite going out. Maybe. Oh, guess.
What can I do for you?
So, oh, hey, I'm too late. Check out this world I just finished building.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Euphoria.
Hello.
Okay, last
I
invite
went to
just
Smash World, and I tried inviting everyone, and no one came. I was standing there by myself.
Oh,
I couldn't.
I've been meaning to play.
Like 40 minutes by myself. No one would come, and I was like,
oh no.
Sad.
So everybody grab a singular gun. You'll notice that there's 2 modes, which is hysterical because I built this in 3 hours and it's already got 2 different game modes. But you have fall mode and you have bounce mode. In bounce mode, you bounce off that platform. In fall mode, you fall through to the next floor. We're not going to do fall mode. It's really intense. It's really intense. But we should try it out at the end. So in the meantime, if you walk into this, it's going to throw you out there. If you hit one of the targets, they're worth points. If you hit a person, they're also worth points, and they get respawned. So try to hit people while you're out there, and go ahead and let's get started. Woo! Oh my gosh, it's so dark. I just realized you can barely see anybody. Woo! Okay, hitting people, way harder. Hitting targets, super duper easy.
Oh, I lost my gun. Shoot.
You can get back. It is a little bit difficult, but you should be able to make it back. Gotcha. Oh, I guess if somebody hits you too.
I just keep dying.
Oh, you just keep dying.
Okay. Yes. How do you reload? Oh,
you just smack it like Arena Clash.
Well, it's not smacking because maybe... Where's my hand? Hang on. Did my hand die? Oh no, here it is. Oh, there it is. Okay.
It's UAC. Gotcha him! Okay, there's like some sincere pleasure with hitting people. It's kind of hard, but if you can pull it off. Oh, that is nice. Oh, come on. Got him. Oh, somebody got me. Ooh, got him. Let's go. I'm right on your tail, AC. Got him.
I lost my gun. Shoot me. Perfect.
Shoot me. Shoot me because I lost my gun. I love that reaction. Woo.
Oh, this is so cool. I love this.
So basically today I set out to build a world that had infinite falling to just like show that you could build any game with infinite falling, and like you just got to design whatever you want to be in there. And then I was like, I should just add a few targets and a gun and just pull out the asset from the asset library. Then I was like, what if we shoot people? What if we get points?
Yeah, this is awesome.
This is so great. Oh, it sometimes can be hard to get.
Just missing. It's seriously just missing cool music. That's it.
Oh, there is a music in here. There literally is music up too late.
Really? Why can't I hear it?
Because somebody needs to turn around. Somebody shoot me. My left hand died and I can't see it.
That happened to me too. My hand's dead right now too.
Oh, thank you for shooting me. Oh, now my hand's back.
That's what happened to me the first time.
You have to like get killed.
What is with that?
Oh. Not this song. I think this.
There.
There you go. And this is actually global. So you have global volume
Too
control.
loud. Too loud. Too loud.
Yeah,
too
sorry,
loud,
sorry,
too
sorry.
loud, too loud.
But you actually have like
Up too
global
loud.
volume control, which is crazy. Although I do need to
turn it
finish
down.
fixing it. You can just turn it down.
Where do you turn down the
Oh,
volume?
you know what? I think I have my
think it's
volume
this part
turned down in
right
my
here.
headset. That's probably why it's not that loud for me. Let me go change my sounds. Video and stage volume, turn it up to
I think
100%.
you grabbed it. Did he? I think he said done it. Yeah. That's cool.
Who's shooting me? Who's shooting me, bro? No party. There we go. Okay, I'm coming after who's ever shooting me. I don't know who it is. AC, is that you? Where you at?
Yeah, that's much better. It's a better vibe.
Yeah. Woo! I can't hit my hand. There's definitely a thing where you just like suddenly can't use your hands.
Yeah.
Do you have the hand collision on?
I do. I meant to turn it off, but I forgot.
Maybe
It's
that's
just-
just all it is. I think it's just like hitting it like a lot while we're moving.
Yeah, it seems like you're right.
So after this, can we test Euphoria's Super Smash?
We totally should. Yes.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
the
no.
most points are definitely going to come from hitting the targets, which is silly, but like they're worth 100, and players are only worth
Hey, do
25.
you guys want to play
Oh,
Last
no.
Man Standing?
I'm not going to stand for
All right,
very long.
first I dropped my gun. So someone shoot me.
Oh, that's not Euphoria. Where's
I'm a
Euphoria?
floating target. Come to the start.
Oh, you're what?
Oh, there we go.
Alright.
Yeah. There we go. Got my hand.
You go and stand on the center, AC. I'm getting you. Got to be in motion, or else you're dead. Woo. Okay, so what is Last Man Standing like? Is that where we just like go in and don't come out?
Everyone comes out here, and whoever lasts the longest is what I'm saying.
Okay, so everybody kill yourself and like die. I'm just
How
gonna
do you
let
how do you
Right.
kill yourself and die?
just let somebody shoot you. Who's shooting me in
Oh,
the
okay.
safe zone, bro?
Okay, somebody shoot me here.
Bro, don't
Alright.
shoot
Shoot
me in
me
the
here.
safe zone. We're trying to get everybody back here.
All right,
Okay, take out AC.
I'm gonna turn this volume
Got
down
him.
again.
Okay,
Shoot me.
got him. Okay, last one. Got him. All right, we're all back.
All right, ready?
Okay.
So I want to tell
Okay,
you that
see who can
these
last the longest.
have different bounces. So like this one sends you up higher and further, and this one sends you
Really?
out medium, and this one sends
I
you
never
out
would
Okay.
have
less.
guessed that, Alex.
Okay.
I never would have guessed. Never would have
Okay,
dawned on me at all.
okay. I get it. Okay, here we go. What are we gonna do? Countdown in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go! One down. No, I'm out.
Aw, who is it?
It's Euphoria, of course.
Anyone
Euphoria
left?
would win. Like, there's no surprise that it's a Euphoria winner.
There we go.
Got him. Wow, this is great. So, anyway, I'm going to end this stream here,
Very
guys.
cool.
Thanks so much for tuning in. And we built this all in
We were
just 3.5
streaming.
hours. So,
Oh my god.
I said that when everybody arrived. Okay.
I wasn't
right.
here for that. Bye.
You must have arrived just after. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Oh.
Would have been good
Stop.
to know, but